Okay. Wow. Somebody just said, it's so nice, you have to do it twice. And you know what? This is something we need to do every day. Today is World Social Work Day. 195 countries, 7 billion people, and there's always a vulnerable group that needs a helping hand. So today we celebrate all social workers, whether you're in mental health, youth, education, whether you are political, environmental, hospice, palliative, you know the work you do, and we just want to say thank you. Thank you so much for answering the call of meeting the vulnerable where they are. You are indeed what the Bible says, your brother's keeper. Hats off to all the social workers. Today, we have a wonderful program set out for you. This is our opening ceremony, and throughout the rest of the day, we'll have 4 main activities. A panel discussion titled, Leaving No One Behind, Reaching the Vulnerable Despite the COVID-19 Divide. And what an important thing it is. We have had to adapt, be flexible in meeting our personal needs and ensuring that the vulnerable and those in need are not left behind. So after we have that panel discussion, we will then move into our yoga session. It's called Building Community Through Yoga. There are many ways in which we have to reach individuals, and we have to try new and innovative ways. This theme for 2022 is co-building a new eco-social world, leaving no one behind. So we have to find the remedies that answers the problem that already exists and that has been compounded by COVID-19. So we're taking a new approach. And then we will follow through with speed social work. We have some agencies on board as CISOCA, Child Investigation Group. We have Child Protection and Family Services Association. We have Women of Destiny coming on board. We have the University Hospital of West Indies Medical Social Work Unit coming on board. You come into that space, it's a 1-hour session. You have a lot of questions that you need to get answers. Come in, meet these individuals, and we will find a way. How do we connect? How do we network? How do you volunteer? There are so much to be done. There are such a great need. We need you. And I want to thank the persons, the students who have chosen social work as their career path. Sometimes it's underappreciated, but you are a hero. You don't wear a cape every day, but you save lives. We thank you. And we will end the day with a trivia, ensuring that we are up to speed with the concepts of social work. So again, for those who are just joining, we have just begun a wonderful day of celebrating all our social workers and for program today. Principal of Justice, Ms. Rita Buchanan, the head of the Social Work Training and Research Center, one of the collaborators in putting on this day. And we have Ms. Sandra Latibotier of the Mona Social Work Unit. But a great champion we have today is Dr. Orville Taylor, who's always there supporting from the pedagogical side, as well as working on the ground and spreading the good news on the radio and the media. And so these are just some of our special guests that we have in house. Let me not forget Miss Jacqueline Bryan, the head of the Jamaica Association of Social Workers. She put the team together because no man is an island. The work that we do in our individual agencies while targeting a particular group cannot be done without meeting the other persons who are there on the street. So again, we thank you, Jazwa. We thank all the agencies, the social workers, those who take on the role as social workers within the community, and we celebrate you. So we are now going to move into the formal program. If you're online, you should see it on your screen. And we are going to begin with the national anthem. We're going to pray. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's morning, may not be early morning, but you will now hear some crowing as I lead you into the national anthem. Guide us with thy mighty hand, keep us free from evil powers, be our light through countless hours. To our leaders, great defender, grant true wisdom from above. Justice, truth be ours forever, Jamaica, land we love. Jamaica, 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 land we love. You may be seated for those who are in the audience. And I hope those who were online remember to stand in civic pride. My mother would always say you must pray and put down so that when it's time, you have something to draw on. So even though we sang the national anthem, which is a prayer, I'm now going to ask Brianna Reed, one of the interns from the Mona Social Work Unit, who has helped in the planning of this event, to come forward and to pray.
Good morning, everyone. Kindly bow your heads for a word of prayer, please. Heavenly Father, we thank you for today. We thank you, Lord, mostly for the gift of life. Thank you, Heavenly Father, for the privilege that your people have gathered here today in celebration of World Social Work Day. We put our day's proceedings in your hand, Heavenly Father, and we ask that our events, our presentations, and everything we do will go off without a hitch. I thank you, Heavenly Father, for a day of peace, productivity, insights, and fruitful discussions. I thank you, Heavenly Father, that everyone that partakes today will be able to leave with a bit more information than they came. We put our days into your hands today and always. Amen.
Thank you so much, Brianna. And again, here we're talking about co-building, working together. So we want to thank this Mona Social Work Unit and Social Work Training and Research Center for coming together and putting this on. We are now going to go into our greetings, and the order will be Dr. Francis Severin, Principal, Ms. Rita Buchanan, and then Dr. Orville Taylor. We are going to ask Dr. Francis Severin to join us now online, where he is in Dominica.
Thank you very much for this, Chair, this very animated introduction. I think, you have motivated me in the next life really become a social worker. But my area is sociology. And so I have had some sensibility of what that is. I am assuming that everyone is hearing me. So let me acknowledge you, of course, Chair, and also the head of the SWTRC, Ms. Rita Buchanan. I'm not too sure whether my colleague, Mrs. Cecile Minot, that is the divisional director, is in the audience, but greetings to her as well. Also head sociology, psychology, and social work department at the University of the West Indies Mona campus, Dr. Lovell Taylor. Our featured speaker, Ms. Jacqueline Bryan, who is the president of the Jamaica Association of Social Workers. Colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, I am assuming also that you may have invited the press, because after all, you know, we cannot keep such interesting and pertinent in terms of today's world activities under cover. We need to spread the good news of what is happening here today. So my pleasant duty to begin with is to thank Ms. Rita Buchanan, Head of Social Work Training and Research Center, for extending this very warm and kind invitation to me, and in so doing, affording me some space on your agenda to convey greetings to this august body as we pause to celebrate World Social Work Day under the exciting and pertinent theme, co-building a new eco-social world, leaving no one behind. In fact, colleagues, let me say that this is in tune and consistent with our philosophy at the Open Campus, leaving no one behind and meeting people where they are. I would also like to seize the opportunity to express to the head and the team of the Social Work Training and Research Center my warm and hearty commendations to you as you celebrate your 60th anniversary this year. The commemoration of World Social Work Day on March 15th, 2022, today, being a fundamental part of your activities during the course of this present year. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring you warm and kind greetings from the University of the West Indies Open Campus. As soon as I witnessed the theme for World Social Work Day, the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, what is often called Agenda 30, adopted by all United Nations member states in 2015, came hurrying immediately to mind. Specifically, if you ruminate over several of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, it will not take you a considerable time to come to the unequivocal conclusion that they are inextricably linked to the theme for World Social Work Day, co-building a new eco-social world, leaving no one behind. The theme speaks to a healthy and balanced harmony between the tangible, natural, and physical environment on the one hand, and the less evident yet real and palpable social environment, indeed, a cultural and natural ecosystem in equilibrium. In short, the theme epitomizes symbiosis. Verily, I cannot ponder many other professions that are better placed and have the optimum ethical and moral authority to champion this synchronization and congruence, other than the social work profession. The theme also speaks to collaboration when it uses the term co-building, which touches at the core of Sustainable Development Goal 17, SDG 17. That is, strengthening the means of implementation and revitalizing the global partnership for sustainable development. The foregoing is a clarion call for collaboration, teamwork, and partnerships, because redressing the imbalance in the eco-social world is a massive undertaking in light of the tremendous negative human interventions that threaten our very existence. Crucially, the subtitle, Leaving No One Behind, is absolutely important because it underscores the importance of inclusivity, equal rights, justice, and equity A world which eschews inclusivity will not enjoy peace and safety. World history and events remind us of this truism over and over again. We must therefore perceive our respective roles in the universe as being not to curse the darkness, but to light a candle. If we do so collectively, can we visualize what a massive light that would be and how we can do irreparable harm to the darkness? In essence, it is not unreasonable to interpret the SDGs as being methodical and systematic in terms of what their coverage and operationalization can in fact mean for humanity. Witness, for instance, the boon and impact of the termination of poverty and other conditions of dispossession in its numerous permutations. Ending hunger, accomplishing food security and enhancing nutrition, and investing in sustainable agriculture, safeguarding healthy lives and upholding the well-being of each and everyone at all ages, guaranteeing inclusive and equitable quality education, and fostering lifelong learning opportunities for all, attaining gender equality and empowerment of all women and girls, promoting enduring, all-encompassing and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment, and decent and honest work for all, diminishing inequality and disparity within and among countries, adopting urgent action to tackle climate change and its effects, and promoting peaceful and inclusive societies for sustainable development, providing access to justice for all, and building successful, effective, accountable, transparent, and inclusive institutions at all levels. It is noteworthy that previous and recent World Social Day themes underscore the emphasis on human dignity and the eco-social milieu. For instance, promoting social and economic equality, which was the theme in 2012 to 2014, in 2015 to 16, promoting the dignity and worth of peoples. In 17 to 18, promoting community and environmental sustainability. 19 to 20, promoting the importance of human relationships. 20 to 21, which I like very much, Ubuntu. I am because we are. I am because we are. Strengthening social solidarity and global connectedness. Hence, ladies and gentlemen, the theme of World Social Work Day 2022 not only fits securely within the foregoing themes, but it elegantly encapsulates and captures the cultural value that the decent people among us have always placed on human life and dignity. This year's theme is a powerful call to those in the social work professions to courageously and fearlessly champion, advocate, and take up the cudgels for humanity and for Mother Earth. Let me say post this, that the moral responsibility to create a better world is not only the remit of social workers, it is a noble task and responsibility that all civilized human beings who possess sound ethical principles, an ability to discern between good and evil, and who have an appreciation for peace must embrace. If ever we needed a reminder of the perils and the liabilities that are caused by people, even a minority of powerful people, who have absolutely no regard for human dignity, no concern for the inalienable rights of all human beings, utter disdain for social justice, for cultural, ethnic, gender identity, language, national, political, racial, religious, spiritual, and other forms of diversity, and who ride roughshod over others' rights to self-determination. Let me say that the vicious attack on the people of Ukraine, and indeed on any nation or people, is blatant and unconcealed for us to see. Equally tragic and catastrophic is the fact that there are many who do not have the moral gumption to condemn these crimes against humanity because of their own practices towards their fellow men and fellow women and their brothers and sisters. Ladies and gentlemen, in consulting a book titled Criminal Justice, Ethics by Cindy Banks, I was struck by a list of virtues which Aristotle evidently posited. And Rachel's 1999 isolates these as follows. I'll just cite one or two. Benevolence, civility, compassion, justice, loyalty, conscientiousness, self-control, self-discipline, self-reliance, tolerance, generosity. I wish to contend that the likely impact of practicing the foregoing virtues are self-evident. Just ponder the absence of tolerance or self-discipline or honesty or compassion or loyalty and so on. And you begin to sense the image of the chaos and turmoil that can envelop the world. I conclude by once again commending Ms. Rita Buchanan, head of SWTRC, and her excellent team for mounting this excellent open ceremony. And I wish you every success as you continue to celebrate World Social Work Day 2022 and your 60th anniversary in this present year. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you so much, Dr. Severin. Your words ring true. I just want to thank you for always being, for always supporting us. And for the cause. Invite Ms. Rita Buchanan, the head of the Social Work Training and Research Center, to come and bring greetings. Please make her welcome.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Emmanuel. Morning, everyone. Thank you so much, Dr. Severin, for those wonderful words. And I won't go into all the protocols. I know we're running out of time, but I must say I'm so excited to be here. I'm excited to see everyone online and persons here today in the room with us. I know Dr. Severin has said so much, Antoinette has said so much about this World Social Work Day, but I want to say a little bit more and also speak to our 60th anniversary. And this is our 60th anniversary as we share with Jamaica. And we're also very excited about that. And to be honest with you, I really love the theme for this year. Dr. Severin shared the theme for the years past, and I listened to it and I thought, wow, impressive thrust that we've been having over the years. I think for me, Ubuntu, I don't know, I just love these African words. Ubuntu for me was just the most encompassing type of theme. Last year, I really felt that idea, okay, in order for you to be, I need to be, and in order for me to be, you need to be. And so continuing on that theme, we speak about this year, co-building a new social world, leaving no one behind. You know, we have to speak to the areas of sustainability, the idea of green social work, which is very new to a lot of social workers across the globe, but it's a very important part of our work as social workers, you know, energy renewal and all of these things, understanding that we have to preserve this earth for all of us. That ecological perspective and that environmental thrust that shares that we are all social beings living in a physical environment that we need to take care of. Very important concept, this idea of co-building with that eco-social world that we live in. And I must say that in the past decade or so, we've had a lot of space exploration that we've seen. And so, you know, there are some among us who think that, you know, well, listen, we can move forward and go somewhere else, or we can explore other areas. There are options. But we must remember within this concept of leaving no one behind, that some of us might not be interested, but others who don't have the luxury to think about that concept, both the social and the economic factors around that. And so this theme is very important. Let's remember that we're all in this together. But beyond this eco-social world, I'm emboldened by this idea of leaving no one behind. Our work as social workers always links us and aligns us with the most vulnerable in our societies, understanding their needs, understanding our needs in relation to them, because sometimes we forget about that. We forget that how we live and breathe. And I think the Bible says, Warren, help me and have our being, speaks to understanding that we coexist and understanding that if we leave someone behind, it's going to come back and influence our own lives, even from that concept, or even just the care that we take to ensure that everyone is a part of the world and can thrive and survive in this place we call Earth. And so we're slowly coming out of a pandemic, and we're slowly moving into what people talk about world war, but it is a war nonetheless that we all will be impacted. Economic factors will all be impacted. And so we have to remember the vulnerabilities that may exist in all our societies in that respect. Our children, the elderly, the disabled, and all the different groups. And we'll speak a lot more about that when we come to the talk, the seminar, the presentations. And I will just share with you the idea of universal responsibility. His Holiness Dalai Lama of Tibet posited, I believe that we must consciously develop a greater sense of universal responsibility. We must learn to work, not just for ourselves, family, or nation, but for the benefit of all mankind. And so I'm happy to be here today to celebrate World Social Work Day, but also to launch our first event in collaboration with the UWI Mona Department of Sociology, Psychology, and Social Work to celebrate World Social Work Day and to launch our activities for our 60th anniversary as a center. That's a social work training and research center. And so we will continue this theme of leaving no one behind throughout the year with our activities. We have we call a stationery and book drive, and we'll hear more about that later. I won't speak to that, to help a particular school, Hayfield Primary and Infant School. We will be also collaborate with the U Museum to speak about social work and how it is developed within the university and across Jamaica and the region. We will also have two main events that will help us to sponsor students and scholarships to look at. We have an online auction, so I wanted to look out for that as well. We'll be auctioning some lovely items. You'll hear more. Just follow our social media pages, check out our website on our webpage, and you will hear more about that. And then to close off the year's activities, we will have a gala dinner and benefit concert. Yes, if you're overseas, please come to Jamaica. Yes, flights are available. I know Caribbean Airline is still working, and those who are further back, please join us. We are going to have a wonderful activity. And I know the pandemic will, we pray the pandemic will be totally gone. So we're asking everybody to come along. But if you can't join us, you can join us online for our concert. So we want you to, and even if you can't join us, contribute to that really important effort that we're putting forward to help others to study social work, to come to the university who otherwise would not be able to do so. And so we ask you to look out for those events, check out our social media page, and I won't say much more about that. So as we celebrate today, we join thousands of social workers across the world in embracing our core values, that of service, social justice, dignity and worth of the person, importance of human relationships, integrity and competence, while working with all our networks, private, public sector, national, regional, international, and all institutions to make and create a better world for all. So let us celebrate, and while we look forward to all the things we'll do in the future to ensure that we work together to build a better world. Happy Social Work Day, everyone.
I hope you're feeling the good vibes. Happy Social Work Day, everyone out there. And I will leave this quote with you from Theodore Roosevelt. Do what you can with what you have, where you are. Everyone together co-build and make this world a better place. With those words, I'll ask Dr. Orville Taylor, Head of the Sociology, Psychology, and Social Work Department from the University of the West Indies Mona campus, to come and give us greetings.
I have to touch myself, hit myself to remind me where I am, because normally when I have a mic in front of me, I say something like, good morning, you're listening to the Big 94. I am touched. There are very few times that I'm speechless, and I'm hoping that this is not one of the times. Very few things overwhelm me like social work. I'm aware of the theme, creating a new eco world, and leaving nobody behind. So what? I mean, truth is it's not new. And you can't subsume all of that in one day. This is what social workers do 24/7. So the fact that the rest of the world is catching up, I'm very, very happy. But social work needs a kind of recognition that it doesn't have. They said, I'm going to follow Sarita a little bit and said, I'm going to do a little bit of the all courtesies observed, because whenever you try to, talk about all the people who are here, to single them out, etc., you get into trouble. But without any doubt, I have to, because it's his place, right? Yeah, so principal, Usav Kimunweye, right? Mais Usav Kimunweye. Bonjour à tout le monde dominicain, tout le monde Saint-Lucien, et tout jamais, non, pas famille moi, non, toute île, non, la Kawaii-Bla, yon, Karikom. Tout le monde comprend.
Merci.
D'accord. All right. You see, my friends, we leave no one behind, including the people in the other islands who speak English as a second language, even though it is supposed to be the first and formal. Of course, I have to say, Sarita, respect. Thank you so much for hosting us. It's your place as well. But can I share something with you people? Here, this place bossed me before the sociology department. You perhaps don't know, but I taught for 25 years, just around the corner at what was then the Trade Union Education Institute for 25 years, from 1985 to, you can work out the math, right? Yes, absolutely. So I've done it. And of course, even though, she is supposed to be my junior colleague, I'm in awe of her, Sandra Latibadia. But there are many other agencies here that are represented. CPFSA, I think I finally got it right. Sisoka, you're here. And I also wanted to make it clear that I am very proud of what the Jamaica Constabulary Force has been doing to change its capacity, because more and more graduates in social work are joining or developing within the force. And Faye, and I tell you, Madam President, you're a good woman. And you're a good woman for the association. And without any question, anybody looks at you and say you're a good one, because in Jamaica, we love to say good woman shot. So here are the greetings now. We have come out of a pandemic and everybody's very up in arms about what looks like World War III. Well, follow me here. You have to take care of your own. You have to take care of your own little space. Because if World War III takes place, then all the problems will be solved. The problems will be solved that we won't be doing this anymore. In fact, we would have to be more concerned about what God has told us to do and whether or not we're ready to meet him. Because if World War III breaks out, that's the end of the world. I don't think it's going to happen. I think they're going to have their little skirmishes in little places, but I don't think that either Biden or Putin is going to press that red button, because it will literally mean the end of the world. But for those of you who are believers, just understand that God is a social worker. And God is a social worker because one, he gave his own son as a sacrifice. But his son came and said a couple of things. The first thing he said, obey the commandments. In other words, make sure that those rules that you're obeying are binding on you. But second, and that's the one a lot of people ignore because they think they can get away with the praise and worship and this empty platitudes on a Sunday or on a Saturday. The real thing is doing the day-to-day social work that is loving your neighbor as yourself. I'm not a social worker. I'm a sociologist. Make no apologies about that. But I'm one of those sociologists who has had the privilege of rubbing shoulders with John Maxwell, Claudette Crawford Brown, Peter Ann Baker, Carleen Boyce Reed, Lita Allen, hold on, June Dolly Besson, Janet Brown, and the list goes on and on. And what do they say on the street? No, I'm not a social worker, but if you hang around gangsters, at a minimum, you must be a pickpocket. I am not a trained social worker. I have a deep appreciation for social work. But even for my 20 or 30 odd years of being associated with social workers, reading social work, doing some social work myself, of course, differing to the real social workers, I'm not a social worker. I'm just a well-informed and perhaps a little bit above average intelligent. That's why amateur. I am an amateur. And 6 years ago, Dr. Aris Ellis Francis said, one of the main problems that we have as a profession, and I say we, because you know what, I've been here around you so long, I am a social worker by association. Honorary, I work it. You better give it to me. I'm begging it. Because there are very few professions I'm in awe of. I'm not in awe of doctors beyond a certain point. I'm absolutely not in awe of lawyers. I am all kind of in awe of engineers because they can actually build things. But there are many professions that I'm not in awe of. We do not have a shortage of lawyers in this country. In fact, we have an oversupply. And believe it or not, we don't have a shortage of doctors. We have a shortage of the halfway point between doctors and social workers that are nurses. Follow me. Because we have been going through a pandemic for years. People talk about the pandemic now. We've been going through a pandemic in the largest in the largest critical mass of CARICOM citizens. You can worry about what's happening in Ukraine. As I said before, if the war breaks out, it's over. But if it doesn't, we still have to deal with the largest body of CARICOM citizens in the most homicidal country that speaks English in the world. Follow me here. You work out, on the average since the new millennium, we have killed about 1,300 persons per year. Out of the total, over a 22-year period. Do the math. I did my math in Spanish class, so I can't add so well. But you do the math and you figure out just how big a problem it is in a population that's about 2.9 million. And you think that the problem is solved? They don't get it. But hopefully they will get it eventually. That every single thing that we do in the society redounds to social work. As a sociologist, I can sit back in my comfort zone and pat myself on my shoulder because, I'm on top of that, I'm a talk show host and I can go there and I talk, and I know what it is like to talk. Yeah, I get paid to talk sometimes. But social workers don't only have to talk, you have to do. You don't have the luxury of sitting down and nudging out policies. Even when you are a macro social worker, it must be policy relevant. But until they get to that point where they recognize that everything is connected. So for example, I am a specialist in industrial relations. That's what I taught for many years around the corner. Did it as a practitioner and still do. But a lot of people don't even understand the deep social work connection. And which is why I teach industrial relations whenever I teach labor law. I don't teach them separately. So let me tell you, for example, when you say you're going to fire somebody. Someone came to me one day and said, I'm going to fire this person. I walked them through the process and I said, this is what you need to do. And if you're going to fire the person, yes. And I demonstrated to them how you must obey section 21 and 22 of the Labor Relations Code and the extent to which the rules of natural justice must be followed, etc., etc., etc. Yes. I said also follow ILO Convention 158, of course. When I was done, I said, are you sure you want this man's family to starve? Are you sure that you actually want to deprive this person of his or her job? And that woman who's working with you, are you sure that you want to employ her under conditions that are not decent work? Or maybe don't you realize that she has 2 sons who are teenagers, who are hyper intelligent. And when you push her out or you reduce her capacity to take care of her family, you are perhaps unleashing something. Do you understand that the job that she has, that little job that's allowing her to be empowered, is what might be saving you for the next Don? Do you understand that? Do you get it? So do you understand that there's a direct correlation between your decent work agenda on the one hand and the outcomes? I don't like being right when I'm making negative predictions. But if anyone here is in the room would remember in 2000, 2002, 2003, I spoke at many Mona academic conferences and I said, the storm is going to come. Because you can't build a social order. You can't continue to build a society that still has the same kinds of problems that we saw after the Moran Bay Rebellion in 1865. It said, it was the commissioners came and they found that what was on the agenda was social inequity and iniquity. Sound alike, 2 different things, but they're connected. Social inequity and social iniquity. And when you link that to the absence of a good labor tribunals for the airing of labor matters, that's what was discovered in 1865. So we can pat ourselves on our back about our economic models, etc. But until we get to that point where we recognize that every single bit of thing that we do is social work, but we need professionals. They don't teach social work in law school. They don't teach social work in med school. They don't teach social work over by the Mona School of Business. They don't. So if you have all of these degrees, so much like you're a thermometer, if you are not a trained social worker, then you are an amateur and you're going to mess up stuff because you just don't know. Too many people have been fooling around and fiddling with people's futures in this country. And I haven't said this country because we're the largest group of CARICOM citizens. If we fail here in Jamaica, the rest of CARICOM, so. Not saying anybody else is unimportant. I'm saying to you, we are that large mass. If Jamaica continues to get it wrong, the rest of CARICOM is doomed. So we have to, and I got a little bit of positive news from Sandra Latibadier just now, because we are making moves. We're making moves because we have to seal our borders, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters. We must seal our borders just like the certified engineers do, like the nurses do, like the teachers do, and like the lawyers do. Because if you are not certified, if you're not properly trained, and if you're not licensed, you know, to do social work in my country. And in this, my very last address as head of the Department of Sociology, Psychology, and Social Work, I step down, but I don't step away. I'm going to be a friend, an advocate, and fan of social work for either the rest of my life as God gives me, or for the rest of the time that my brain remains with me. Because I have an amazing social worker here who understands that we can boast about silver and gold shall vanish away, but a good dementia can come on. So as long as my brain works, you will have one of your biggest advocates, social workers. There are not many professions that I'm in awe of, but every single profession that I look up to falls behind social work. God bless you, and I'm very happy to be in your presence.
tell you, I first may hear about social inequity. But what a powerful message. It is time that we move beyond the rhetoric, get behind the persons who need the help, the agencies who are willing and ready, send the resources that they need. And whoever is online right now and haven't answered the call to support or to choose this as your career, don't worry. We are ready and available for you. Join us for the conversation. All right. So we've been heavy since morning with some very important messages. But today's World Social Work Day, we are celebrating. We're not come make everybody feel sad about the situation that is here, because there's always a solution to a problem. And that's why we are here, because we decide that we are going to co-build to build a new eco-social world. And I'm now going to invite Miss Adriana Brown, who's going to build you up and shine the flashlight on the work that you do. Miss Adriana Brown, please make her welcome.
Good morning. When tomorrow comes, I'll be on my own.
Sometimes we have technical difficulties, but sometimes it's because the messages really needed to be heard. So we're going to let Adriana just start once again. Listen carefully.
When tomorrow comes, I'll be on my own, feeling frightened of the things that I don't know. When tomorrow comes, tomorrow comes, tomorrow comes. Although the road is long, I look up to the sky, and in the dark I fall, see where I will fly, and I sing along, and I sing along. I'm on my knees when I got you and I look around me, see the sweet light, stuck in the dark, but you my flashlight. You getting me through the night. Can't stop my heart when you shot it in my eyes. Can't lie, it's a sweet light. Stuck in the dark, but you my flashlight. You getting me through the night. 'Cause you my flashlight. 'Cause you my flashlight. 'Cause you my flashlight. Oh, I see the shadows long beneath the mountain. I'm not afraid when the rain won't stop. 'Cause I like the way, you like the way, you like the way. I'm on my knees when I get you and I look around me, see the sweet light. Stuck in the dark, but you my flashlight. You getting me through the night. Kickstart my heart when you shot it in my eye. Can't lie, it's a sweet life. Stuck in the dark, but you my flashlight. You getting me through the night. 'Cause you my flashlight. You're my flashlight, light. Oh, you're my flash. Oh, sweet light. You getting me through the night. Can't stop my heart when you shot it in my eyes. Can't lie, it's a sweet life. Stuck in the dark, but you my flashlight. You getting me through the night. My heart when you shot it in my eye. Can't lie, it's a sweet life. Stuck in the dark, but you my flashlight. You getting me through the night. 'Cause you my flashlight. 'Cause you my flashlight. 'cause you my flashlight. Oh, ooh, 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 oh, you my flashlight, light, you my flashlight, light, yeah.
Wow. You are the flashlight, social workers. I hope you held on and you're holding on to it. You know, remember I said earlier, you are the superheroes. You don't wear the cape, but you have a superpower, which is meeting those who are in need. And again, I say thank you. Those who never join us and those who are on, go tell your friend, tell your co-worker, tell them, say me, Antoinette Emmanuel, said thank you very much. Because there's so much to do. But again, as the scriptures say, the harvest is full, but the workers are few. And we're just going to take a 1-minute break. But just while we take that break, before we take the break, let me just remind you that the Mona Social Work Unit and Social Work Training and Research Center have put this on. But we want to thank AFIA, Jamaica Yoga Studio, for coming on board and joining us in sharing an alternative therapy. That will be at 11:30. So get your mats. Please don't eat any more food because you need a light stomach to join that session. Right? So we're just going to take a 1-minute break and then we'll come back with this wonderful program we have celebrating all social workers. Welcome back. World Social Work Day 2022, co-building a new eco-social world. Big words, but simply put, meet someone where they need your help. We are our brother's keeper. No man is an island. Everybody jump on board and answer the call. So We are back on to our program of the opening ceremony. And this is where we at the Social Work Training and Research Center are trying to participate in the activity of giving back. I am going to invite Mrs. Sarah Baylor Belafonte to come forward and to launch our contactless stationary drive.
Good morning, everyone. You can hear me. You cannot hear me.
Believe it or not, the virus can't travel that far from where you are.
Oh my goodness. Oh wow. Okay. Woo. Can you hear me now? All right. Good morning, everyone. All protocols already observed. Happy World Social Work Day. I am here to tell you about one of our activities in celebration of this year's theme, as well as our 60th anniversary, the Contactless Stationary Drive. Now, this drive is for Hayfield Primary and Infant School. It's located in Hayfield, St. Thomas, and they cater to students from kindergarten to primary level. So this is when they're between 4 to 12, you know, when they're like really, really cute and you want to hook them up and all that. The cute stage is always important. So your support and donation will assist with their intellectual and social development. And like any school, they require simple things like paper, pens, chalk, cartridge paper, paintbrushes, you know, those simple things. And I get more advanced to things like models of the teeth, the air, the brain, etc. So they have a nice list of things that the school would like. And you can find this list on our website and our social media pages, which I hope have been plugged thus far. Share post of this event. Has it? Is it there on the Zoom? Is it there on the pages? Is it posted around? So you will check our Instagram or Facebook or YouTube. Miss Buchanan? Yes, we're everywhere. You can also see our list on our boxes, which I'll explain to you in a second. So when you have your item or items, because I believe you guys will support our drive, you can either contact us here at the Social Work Training and Research Center. You can send us an email, a phone call, smoke signal, flare, flashlight in the sky. We will find you. No donation will be denied. Okay, and we can arrange for you to get your items to us, because I know that we have people all the way in Mobay. I see y'all. Hi. If you're able to come here, we'll have a box located in our office, so you can come and nicely place your items in there. You'll also find a box at UE Bookstore, at Sangster's Bookshop in Sovereign Center, as well as the social work department on Mona campus. And we'll have other locations popping up. So as they come up where we can place our box, our social media pages will be updated with that information. So that's basically me. And we look forward to your donations. Look at our box, see our box, put something in our box. Let's leave no one behind. Thank you. Where's my box? Look at the box.
All right. So yes, thank you for that, Miss Bailey Belafonte. Yes. We're moving on with our program. Again, I want to just remind you that we take checks, we take bank transfers, US dollars, anything that, yes, crypto. I tell you, they're up to speed, and we are ready to meet you where you are as you donate to our contactless drive. We are now moving to an important segment of our opening ceremony in which Ms. Jacqueline Bryan, the president of the Jamaica Association of Social Workers, will come to you and give you the feature address for this morning.
Hoping I can do this. All protocols observed, and as Dr. Taylor said, good women are short, 4 feet 11 inches, not even 5 feet. So that's the take on it. Happy Social Work Day to you all, and you can become a member of JASWA, Dr. Taylor. You can become a member of JASWA, and we'll use your knowledge and your skill to our best advantage. Great, great. Where do we go? And just a little bit of, I'm an expressive therapist, so I use music, dance, drama in my practice. So I'm gonna ask her to just play that song a bit. Where do we go? What do we do? Self-care is very, very important as social workers. And it's very important that as social workers, while we take care of our clients, that we also take care of ourselves. And I asked the question, what do we do to take care of ourselves? Do we go to the beach? Do we go to the park? So as I asked that question, let us look at our theme. And our theme speaks to co-building a new eco-social world, leaving no one behind. And our core values of social work is service, competence, social justice, dignity and worth of the person, importance of human relation. And what are the policies that are part of our Jamaican culture as we speak to sustainability, as we speak to an eco-social work? Slide number 8 speaks to, on January 1, 2019, that there was a ban on, next one, right. There's a ban on plastic bags. Single-use plastic bags, candle bag or t-shirt bag as we call it. That's a policy that was put in place. But how much of it is being, that's a policy that was put in place, how much of it is being observed? And as we look at the photograph there that speaks to how things decompose. I'm a tree hugger. I love plants, I love the environment. And it takes 600 years for certain kind of plastic to disintegrate. That is my lifetime, your lifetime, and our children's lifetime. How involved are we in protecting the environment? Many of us profess to be Christians, Rastafarians, and there are those who are individuals are living a plant-based life. And those of us who are spiritually minded, being a caretaker of God's kingdom, Psalms 24 speaks to, the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof, the world and they that dwell therein. Who shall ascend into the hills of the Lord, or who shall stand in his holy place? We have received a gift. And as social workers, how much of us make the connection between our practice and the gift and the stewardship that we have in taking care of the environment? How many of you, give me a show of your hands, how many of you here in this room or on the platform grew up in the country in Jamaica, the rural area? All right, Mr. Manuel, put up our hand. And let's give you a synopsis of my life. I went to live Effortville, Sevens Road, Clarendon, because there was violence in Trenchtown. My mother took myself and my brother to live there. And that was when I was introduced to my grandfather's occupation as a farmer and my grandmother as a market vendor. So, as Dr. Taylor said earlier, eco-social world responsibility and not leaving anybody behind is not new. It is not new. And when I went to live with them, I learned them not showing nothing. Them recycling was part and parcel of the day before the 3 R's came about. The recycle, reuse, reduce came about. Because whatever was left over in terms of the food was fed to the animals. And I was a product, I had a very interesting experience when I went to primary school there at Maypen Primary. Because my grandmother made a bag for me to go to school out of my grandfather's old corduroy pants. Because she was also a dressmaker. And knowing all my classmates them still, I decided, say, you know what? I decided, let me go back to the English. Come here. I decided that I have to redo this, because if I go to school, they're going to say to me, say, boy, a whole bag. So I went to school and I said, custom made, one in the island. And because I rephrased it, I didn't know I was doing social work that early. Because I rephrased it and repositioned it, everybody wanted one of my bags. And that's what we do as social workers. We rephrase things. We reposition things. And that's what we're doing as we speak of the theme this morning. Co-building a new eco-social work, leaving no one behind. That's what we need to do. Not only as social workers, we need to spread this message to everybody. If it was something else, all the media's houses would be represented here today. But I know we sent out invitation and how much of them turn up, because it's not guns blaring and it's not some kind of dancehall issue happening, right? So I laugh when it talk about looking at YouTube, the YouTube University, when I see some of these things, because a lot of us were exposed to taking care of the world that we live in on different levels from very early, protecting the environment, passing down simple actions doing that. And to this day, because of the influence of my grandparents, my garbage bin don't stink because everything that decomposes don't go in there. Even before I live where I live and have the space to do what I do, I used to find containers that I would put these things in, put dirt on them, and I would plant stuff, right? And as the campaign, grow what we eat and eat what we grow. Again, policy that has been put in place by the government, and how much of us has embraced it? Well, we maybe have to go embrace it right now, because we speak about Russia and Ukraine. We talk about what is happening in Russia and Ukraine, and we're going to have some shortages because the most of the wheat that we import starts there. So we're going to have to go back to grow what we eat and eat what we grow. But maybe I have to go back to the cassava flour, breadfruit flour that we grow here in Jamaica, and even banana flour. So, as we are involved in this leaving nobody behind, I want to share as part of my experience that I went to do a home visit. A young man who was giving a lot of challenges at school, because I'm a guidance counselor at high school. But when I went to visit his mother, do the home visit because I hadn't seen him, when I went to check, his mother was beaming and she was so filled with pride. Because when I stepped into that home, that yard, Barbara Glujan used to say is uptown is apartment complex and downtown a tenement yard. So I'm stepping at the tenement yard. And I look at the structure that was there, zinc and board and all of that. But I forgot about the reason for my visit because the place was so filled with plants. And that's where my eye went. And when I went and I said, who did this? The mother beamed. She said, Miss, I didn't do it, I implant everything. And he used all kind of containers to plant all kind of things. And not only decorative plants, he had tomato and pepper and all of that kind of thing in these containers. And this young man is a young man that was giving us challenge at school. But none of us has ever tapped into what his passion was, what he could do best, and use that to not leave him behind, to not have him stay out of school because he was given trouble, as we quote unquote. But we left him behind. And if I had not gone on that home visit, I would not have seen his passion because he was not willing to share it verbally. That this is what he loves because he was not sure about it. But the fact that part of my job description as a social worker was to do the home visit opened my eyes, gave me a new way to look at his building. We're co-building. So I got the knowledge from him in order to build a different kind of relationship. And as I said, that is what we do as social workers. We go out there and we look for, on different levels, what it is that as individuals, as families, as communities, that we are passionate about so that we leave nobody behind. Solution? What stand out to us? And we speak of justice and equity as it pertains to climate change. We talk about using funding that we get efficiently. We talk about reduction goals. And that applies also in climate change to our healthcare situation. And the healthcare situation is not only about the physical health, but it's a part of every single aspect of our lives. And when we co-build, we examine these things. We seek. I was diagnosed with COVID in January. When I wasn't feeling very well. When I woke up the Monday morning, when school was supposed to start back, I stepped off my bed, my knees buckled. And I realized how I was feeling the day before. This was not just a sinus thing. And I was recommended to go to get testing. And I went to the health center to get testing. And I was quarantined. And after the testing was done, I was told that I could not go back to the same health center to get certification to say that my quarantine was over. I would have to go to St. Jago Health Center. My antennas pricked up immediately. And the automatic social worker came up and I said, but why do I need to go to Spanish Town when my test was done in Portmore? What is the reason for this? And the system that we have in place, and our system is not connecting when we provide certain services. And I spoke to the persons at the clinic when I went there, and it was a nonchalant attitude as, I saw it go. I saw we have to do it. And I asked if there was a medical social worker there at St. Jago Health Center, and the reply was no. I said, okay, I'm going to do some investigation and find out about what is happening. And I've reached out to a couple of our medical social workers, and we've had conversation in terms of talking about what is going to be happening with our medical social workers. Because just as in CPFSA, we have social workers carrying some caseloads. The medical social workers are doing the same thing. How can we co-build when the policies that affect us as social workers and the community, the individuals and the families that we serve, is not put in place to ensure that we have enough social workers to address the issues that we face every time. So JASWA has been having meetings. And again, I say thank God for COVID, because the whole of February we've been having meetings. When Warren can testify. And because of COVID, we've been doing a lot of Zoom meetings and Google meetings. So the whole month of February, I was able to go through almost the whole parish, all of the 14 parishes of Jamaica, and meeting with social workers and talking about what's needed. So there has been a kind of plus to COVID for JASWA. Meeting and making connection with social workers and revitalizing Jamaica Association of Social Work. And getting persons on board to saying, we need to advocate for the change. That's where the co-building comes in. That's where the co-building come in. And the final slide has a YouTube video that I want, that has been making the rounds on WhatsApp, that speaks to policies globally and what is happening globally. Thank you. What are the policies and what is happening on the international front? And I visited Barbados some time ago and part of a volunteer group from the Methodist Church. And they were doing a park. And one of the things they insisted on, they were doing a development, sorry. And one of the things they insisted on was that the trees that were there should not be cut down. And that's why Prime Minister Motley can speak the way she speaks, because the co-building in terms of constructing housing, how do we ensure that when we're constructing housing, you don't level the trees and that you build around them as much as possible? I mean, there was a tree that was so big that 5 of us circled it. And it speaks to the years of the trees. Let us lead as social workers, co-building in a new eco-social world and leaving no one behind. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Bennett. Thank you. Ms. Bryan. Ooh, my brain been sleeping from morning, you know. Time to wake up. Not only just my mental capacity, but our physical resources to come together and to find the solutions. I want to thank Ms. Bryan again for that wonderful feature address. We have been running a little behind, so we're just going to go speed into things. And as I talk about speed, at 1:30 to 2:30 p.m. today, we're going to be having speed social work. I'm going to invite Mr. Rita Buchanan to come and declare, while I just mention our speed social work village participants. CPFSA, UE Health, UE Hospital, Women of Destiny, Grace Kennedy Foundation, Jamaica Council for Persons with Disabilities, National Council on Drug Abuse, the Center for the Investigation of Sexual Offenses and Child Abuse. I get that right. Ooh, clap myself. Awesome stuff. So we just want to declare this day open and we welcome Mr. Rita Buchanan, and this will end this segment of our 4-part series.
Thank you so much. What a wonderful opening ceremony, I must say. I know that we all have been sitting for a while, and so I won't stay long. I just declare World Social Work Day open. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We are going to take a 2-minute break. Stay online, and I know those who are here are willing to hang with me until 3:30 today. So I'm just going to remind you, right now, after we take this 2 minutes break, we are going to have our panel discussion. We have Ms. Sandra Latibaudier representing the age group. We have Warren Thompson from CPFSA representing the children. We have Ms. Cynthia Peter, soon to be Dr. Cynthia Peter. Dr. Cynthia Peter, who's here to speak about women. We are going to also have Dr. Barbara Black speaking about community and youth development. And we will have Jacqueline Bennett from Jamaica Council for Persons with Disabilities. Online will be Ms. Olivier Sean, Lovell, who will also speak to the women issues. Stay tuned. We are talking about solutions. What do we say? Solutions, how we've been adapting and co-building. Stay online, and thank you so much for joining us. Don't leave. We'll be right back.
Thank you so much, Miss Emmanuel. We know time is far spent, and I look forward to the rich discussion I know we will have. But we'll start with presentations from our guests representing the different areas. And we will start with Miss Lati Bodair, Sandra Lati Bodair. Miss Lati Bodair holds a Bachelor in Business Administration from the University of Technology and a Master's of Social Work degree from the University of the West Indies, Mona. She's an MPhil PhD candidate in Aging Studies, Medical Sciences faculty at UA. Ms. Latibodir is a lecturer and the section head, unit coordinator for the social work program at UA Mona. Her research interests and practice work include aging, dementia care, disability, and gender. She's a board member of Alzheimer's Jamaica, where she provides public awareness and programs coordination's responsibility. Her PhD thesis will explore how dementia caregivers and families perceive the caregiving experiences of taking care of an older adult with dementia. Very interesting stuff. Let's hear from Ms. Latibodir.
So good morning, everyone. I am so excited to be here to share with you my many lives. So as you heard, I am the coordinator for the social work program. So in that capacity, I'm an educator. So leaving no one behind, I wanted to quickly just share with you as an educator, leaving no one behind. We talk about the social work journal, the Caribbean Journal of Social Work, and I wanted to make sure that I brought that up. We have a journal that encourages social workers to write about and be recognized, and so other persons can learn. You'd have heard from the other presenters in the opening session about the different themes that we have. I like this one. I like this one, just like I like the one before. Ubuntu, I am because you are. And that's important for us to remember. I am because you are. And we're leaving no one behind. So we're leaving no one behind. As an educator, we leave no one behind. So we have a journal. When you do your practice, you need to be writing, and you can subscribe. You can write for the social work journal. Yeah? So I want you to get involved. There is a link there. This year, for the first time, we have the journal online. So there's a link to the online journal that you can read. And I've published in there about my many things that I do. So also, people talk about age. I'm representing the aged. Alzheimer's disease and dementia is not only a natural part of aging. You have persons who are in their 30s who have the disease as well. So it is not a natural part of aging, and it's not an old people disease. So please, as social workers, don't go about saying those kinds of things, right? It's not a natural part of aging. And so, you know, what we do public awareness. We raise awareness about the disease, and we work with families, we work with individuals, we work with the caregivers, who are most often the family members, which is what my study is about. And once it is published, I'll come and tell you some more about it. So we work with families, and we work with individuals, and we also work with the care recipients. Coming out of what we do, and we provide referral services for persons who approach us for help to know what to do immediately once their family member is diagnosed with dementia. And so quickly, just to give you a quick synopsis, dementia is a syndrome. It is not the disease itself. There are many different types of the disease. So you have Alzheimer's, which our organization, you know, but we have to expand it now because it's not only Alzheimer's. You can have frontotemporal, you can have vascular dementia, and you can have dementia with Lewy body. And once you have those kinds of, those types, tell you the type of dementia that it is. So the dementia is actually the syndrome, and it is a disease of the brain. And so it affects 4 functions. So you're neuropsychotic, so you'll have persons experiencing hallucination. I want you to think about what COVID implications for COVID when COVID hit. So they're having hallucinations, they're hearing or seeing things that are not there. It affects your behavior. It affects, people tend to be agitated and very clingy. Then it also affects your ability to function. So you have activities of daily living, like combing your hair, brushing your teeth, things that we take for granted. Persons with dementia will not be able to do that over time. And then it also affects your cognition. Yeah, so many persons know about the memory loss, but memory loss it's okay for all of us until it becomes debilitating. So once you cannot function, then it becomes an issue. But if you have memory loss, don't start worrying yet. It may just mean that you need to take some vitamin B12 and you need to get some rest. Yeah. So when it becomes a problem now, it's when it start affecting all other quadrants of the brain. You don't remember how to comb your hair and all of those things. All right. So that is what we do. And so we have partnered with many different persons to host webinars, to educate persons, to tell family members that they're not alone. So part of the work that we do, and again, as program coordinator, I need to declare myself, it is purely voluntary. I don't get paid. Social work, I don't get paid to do this. I'm passionate about this population. And so I do that free of cost. I don't get no pay. University, I don't get no pay. So and it's something about us as social workers. We get excited about a population or an area, or we want to do advocacy about certain things, and we just jump in. We don't even start thinking about the cost. Are they going to pay us? No, this is a population that we have to pay attention to. Remember, even though it's not a natural part of aging, we are in fact aging globally, right? So we have Professor Elimai Shearer in her study found that there's a 6% prevalence in Jamaica. So every 6 person, yeah, we don't know completely how many persons are actually have dementia in Jamaica. And so we partner with other persons to do webinars to invite persons to understand the disease. So even as much as we talk about it, still there are many persons who still don't know about it. And so we do that. So we partner with our National Council for Senior Citizens, and we partner with Mona Wellness and Aging. This is the YouTube link to the webinar that we had last year. So every September, World Alzheimer's Day, we host something. And so this was a webinar that we did. So you need to click on and take the note of that. And what we did also, prior to COVID, we set up a support group for caregivers. So caregivers could come, they could share their experiences, and they could bring the care recipient, that's a person with the disease. So they could come, bring the person, and when COVID hit, what we did, we expanded it to Zoom. So those persons who could join us by Zoom, because people just need somebody to talk to. And we realized that. Part of my work also is to do advocacy. And so I have writings in the newspaper because we need to ensure that persons understand. So I use simple terms. And so we have published quite a number of newspaper articles about the disease. So if you Google my name, you will see some of the things that I have done written up in the newspaper to ensure that nobody's left behind. Because some persons, when you talk to them, they think they are alone in this. And so when we do the workshops and so on, some people are still left behind. And so we do the newspaper. Many people read the newspaper. And so we did that. So what was the impact and how did we respond? So when COVID hit, because you had all of those protocols, the physical distancing, the anxiety about if I'm going to get the disease or I'm going to transfer it to the person. And so many of our older adults became isolated. So families did not visit anymore. And so for many of them, even though they weren't displaying signs of dementia, they started displaying those things because isolation can do that to a person. And so we had more cases coming to us. We had more families calling us for assistance. And so what we did, we responded by doing some of the writing. So I want to share with you quickly 2 cases. Claire's mother, Lily, and I want you to understand why the agitation and so on could happen. So Claire's mother, Lily, has dementia, a type of dementia. She has Alzheimer's disease, a type of dementia that affects Lily's memory, thinking, behavior, and emotions. And due to the COVID-19 pandemic, Claire now works from home. Lily's paid caregiver has started wearing a mask and gloves when interacting with Lily. Now you're talking to someone who can't remember what happened just now. The changes unnerved Lily. who does not understand what is taking place. Lily is agitated and feels threatened. So she's irritable, uncooperative, because her caregiver is unrecognizable to her and her routine has been disrupted. Claire is now working from home. So when you have somebody who is displaying these symptoms, and there are changes in the routine, they may come across as being uncooperative, aggressive, but it is because they cannot explain what they are feeling and what is happening to them. And so again, we have to ensure that families understand this. Another case, Jennifer had to find a new caregiver for her father, who also has Alzheimer's disease. She had to make a decision because his previous caregiver had to self-isolate, having been in contact with somebody diagnosed with COVID. Jennifer's father is having difficulty adjusting to the change. He paces, he's uncooperative and antagonistic towards Jennifer and the new caregiver. It's not because he is causing problems. It's because he cannot explain what is happening and what these changes mean to him. So how did we respond? We started doing tips in the newspaper, like writing that article, doing presentations to organized groups, invited ourselves to churches, invited ourselves to family members. We get calls from the UK, from Canada, from the US, because family members are here in Jamaica and there's nobody to help them. And so they contact us. We're one of their first points of reference. And so what we do, we created a resource list with a list of doctors, psychologists, and social workers who they could contact at first reference. So caregivers, family members in the US, we tell them about National Council for Senior Citizens. So if the family member is in a rural parish and nobody can access them, National Council for Senior Citizens has a branch in every parish, and it's on the poor relief. And so Poor Relief is also one of those agencies. So if the person is destitute, Poor Relief is also an area of response. And so we provide those lists for them about what are some of the things that they need to do. So we talk to them about, self-care is important. Even as you're taking care of your family member or the person with dementia, you also have to take care of yourself. And so we give them some simple tips. Pay attention to health. Make sure that you have the numbers for the doctor online. Acknowledge, and it's the first and important one, acknowledge that the experience is an emotional one for all persons concerned. It can lead to the change in behavior. Example, you pace, wonder, and distrust and suspicion. And so we had a lot of that. And so we had to work with the families on a whole heap of levels because they just did not understand. And so we compiled a list of referral services. This is a graduate of our program, Marvet Facey-Dobbs. So she responded, so she has a service that she provides for persons who are who need respite care. So if you need a little break, Marvet Facey-Dobbs offer that service. Then we have another service that other persons provide. A friend of mine, Donna Singh, she will come and buy groceries. So all of that, COVID helped us to kind of put together those kinds of resources so that family members who need that kind of help could get that. So we have this lady, I just went on Facebook, saw it. And so when family members call me from the US, I give them all of these list of referral services and they go and they do their investigation. I'm going to say this publicly though, I am yet to get information from nursing homes. They are not open. When we call, so like when we have social workers who are placed, and we want a database of nursing homes that we can tell people, you can go and check this out and whatever. They're not open. So when we call them, they don't want to share the information with us. So I'm saying it publicly. So I'm not able to provide a list of nursing home for persons to just go and do their investigation because I'm not getting the information from them. So those are some of the referral services. Finally, when we do our presentations, we encourage family members to enjoy life and to make good memories for tomorrow, because you're going to need it. Because remember, when you have dementia of any type, it's your long-term memory that you're going to fall back on. Your short-term memory is short. You will not remember what happened to you now, but you'll remember what happened to you when you were a child. So make good memories now. So in the end, we say to people, there are only 4 types of people in the world: those who have been caregivers, those who are currently caregivers, those who will be caregivers, and those who will need caregivers. That's Rosalind Carter, and that is a phrase that I use all the time. All of us are going to be impacted in some way. So ultimately, the care of people with dementia will require a concerted effort with mental health specialists, counselors, social workers. I know many social workers don't like older people who don't want to work with the kids and kissy, but there is a population that we have to pay attention to because we are aging. So we need to ensure that we start paying attention. Community support groups, the state has to be a part of it, the society, supporting caregivers and families. Again, as I said, many of the caregivers are family members who don't understand the disease, and so they themselves are stressed. So social workers, and me included, thank you for serving, thank you for loving, and thank you for healing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sandra. So much you learned from what we learned so much just now. I think sometimes we talk about the elderly and we talk about dementia, and we think it's synonymous with, but it's important for us to take note. Thank you for the information about the services available. And I know persons will have questions. We're going to ask you to save it towards the end. And we're going to move right ahead to Reverend Dr. Barbara Black from Divine Exchange Ministries. Dr. Black is a trained and practicing pharmacist. She's also the pastor of Divine Exchange Ministries, located at 87 Walton Park Road. She brings not only theological perspectives to her ministry, but also her counseling practice into leading her church, especially the youth. Today, she speaks to us as a counselor providing a safe community space for the development of the youth. Thank you. Please welcome Dr. Black.
Very much. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Just want to thank you for having me this morning. Principal, online attendees, those in the house, and friends, well-wishers, good morning again. Divine Exchange Ministries. We are situated at 87 Waltham Park Road, and that is in Kingston right here. And I took up service there in February of 2016. When I got there, it was an aging population that was there. So we targeted children. And so we had our Sunday school that we paid a lot of attention to. We had our young people. We did community health fair. Let me just follow this slide. We did community health fair because there were persons in the community who needed that kind of service. And being a pharmacist, I tend to take care of people in the area of health. And health really is both physical and mental. We also did outreach to our community of food items and other items that are needed. We have our back to school program that we do. The top of the slide is our children in Sunday school in the church kitchen at that. And we have some in another space. So we spend some time really focusing on our children because the future of this world is the next generation. The future of this world is the next generation. We have our young ladies that we teach to do sewing. And I would like to say at this point that I am a very good to do crochet, to do art, but I want to bring it back. That's one of my dreams. And so next slide, please. These are our men. You will see some of them playing dominoes, football, and all that kind of things to engage them. But all that changed when COVID hit. And so we had to People know we went online, and having our online ministry now brought some things to the fore. One thing after we went online is that a lot of the community children were not attending school. Some of them had no phone or tablets. Some of them, there's no internet. There are others who did not have parental supervision because parents had to work. And so we decided to launch the Divine Exchange Resource Center, where we got tablets and we employed a few of the older, younger ones to supervise them. Yes, the older, younger ones. We had some teens who weren't in school at the time. And so we employed them to assist in supervising the children and facilitating them going to their online classes. Then there was a big revelation. Many of the children could not read. Some had not been to school for so long that whatever they were struggling at became magnified, and some plain could not read. We had 8-year-olds and start what we reading where was reading. I had one parent who just that she could come to reading Wednesday because she's saying she's surprised that I cannot read. I don't know, possibly a child in her house. So a lot is that what we do in develop or provide kind of service to develop and to develop our nation. Therefore, our vision is to fully develop our reading center and also to have a skills training for the youth who have not successfully completed high school education, because we know that's a problem. Change ministries have a lot of land, but we need money. And so we are hoping that we can partner with others to do this for our community. It is a fact that we are better together. Indeed, I am because we are. Therefore, we can leave no one behind. God bless you.
COVID has us taking off masks and putting on back masks and sanitizing and changing mic, all of these things. Thank you so much, Dr. Black. It's so interesting, some of the work that our fellow Jamaicans and Caribbean people are doing, social worker or allied professionals, because we recognize that Dr. Black is not a social worker, but she's doing some important social interventions within her community. So we have to acknowledge that. So thank you so much for sharing. So we will go right ahead and invite Mrs. Olivier Sean Lovell. She's the founder and chief visionary officer at Women of Destiny Jamaica, that's based in Montego Bay. Provides a safe haven for marginalized women and girls through mentorship, advocacy, and empowerment. Olivier Sean Lovell is a social development consultant with expertise in non-profit development and project management, leadership, and community development. She has received several awards, including the Jamaica Gleaners Distinguished Women Award and the Prime Minister's Youth Award, the Prime Minister's Youth Award, as well as the U.S. Department of State Community Solutions Program alumni and board member. Olivier is a published author, social entrepreneur, wife, and mother, and I think she'll be joining us online. Okay, I understand she got bumped offline, so we will come back to her if she's able to rejoin us. So we're not going to delay. We're going to invite, and we're going to put her proper title on. Mrs. Peter recently completed her studies. So Dr. Cynthia Peter is a lecturer and coordinator of the Masters in Nursing program at the UWI School of Nursing, Mona, former clinical nurse manager and educator at the University Hospital of the West Indies. She is a researcher and has published on gender and human rights issues in midwifery practice, specifically in relation to women's health, gender-based violence, respectful maternity care, and fatherhood. She is on a mission to build capacity among nurses and midwives on these issues. She has successfully led the consultancy for the UWI Faculty of Medicine, UNFPA, European Union Spotlight Initiative in integrating violence against women and girls in the nursing and medical programs at UWI. Very important work. She studied with Dr. Leet Dunn in her recent doctoral studies in gender and development studies at UWI with a focus on gender implications for pregnant women subjected to gender-based violence. She's married and is the proud mother of a 20-year-old princess who is studying medicine in Jamaica. Let us welcome Dr. Peter.
All right. All right. Thank you so much, Madam Chair. Good morning, everyone. Happy Social Work Day. I feel very privileged to be invited to be a part of this. And I want to thank Sandra for setting me up and Miss Emmanuel for insisting that I come, and I'm here. I am a beneficiary of social work. My first home visit as a student nurse in was with Miss Duncan, a social worker at the University Hospital. And I've worked closely as a manager with social work at the University Hospital in getting the social work done, because us as healthcare, our medical staff, when we have done our best, then it's the social worker would have to take over. I'm glad Dr. Taylor is not here. I was one of his students. I felt intimidated when I came in and saw him. All right, so, you know, there are some social problems that we were facing prior COVID. Some became very prominent in COVID and some going to persist after COVID, and one such is gender-based violence. And so that is what I'm here talking about. My study focused on, all right, so I have that slide just to tell you that gender-based violence is multifaceted. It's at the individual level, it's at the relationship level, it's at the community level, and it's at the societal level. But very importantly, all the ills that we have learned over the years, whether it's from the legacy of slavery, the institutions, we have to use them to combat some of these ills. All right, so my study focused on motherhood. Can continue. And what I did was to break the household and institutional silence on gender-based violence, pulling back the curtain, you know, giving visibility to the pregnant women who are exposed, and to midwives, their care provider. We want to change the intergenerational violence in the home. All right, so gender-based violence, it is a crime, it is a pandemic, and it violates women's human rights and prevent them from developing their goals. It is rooted in gender inequalities and patriarchal ideologies and institutional practices. We know that the prevalence is 1 in 3. In Jamaica, the prevalence in pregnancy is 5%, based on the latest 2000 study that was done. The thing is that it is not classified as a disease, but it is a high risk to pregnant women and their newborns. And there are many international commitments that support and protect women who are exposed to gender-based violence, including those that are pregnant. The UN has provided us with the sustainable development goals that we can use to combat this crime, and it's especially to prevent poverty reduction, promote maternal health, and promote gender equality, and of course, for institutions to be accountable. So what Jamaica has done, we know the reform is taking place. Like I said, it is a crime. They want to integrate human rights framework in all institutions. In terms of institutional response, the Bureau of Gender Affairs, the Jamaica Conservative Force, Women Inc., Jamaica for Justice, they have responded. But when you look at those are social and legal aspects. In health, there is no roadmap or guidelines to guide healthcare workers, so it is loose, it is unstructured. The Reproductive Health Survey told us in 2008 that nurses and midwives, we have the confidence of women who are exposed. All right, so we can move from there. So I basically wanted to shed light on this. So, you know, pregnancy is the beautiful side of health, right? And, you know, people can't think that pregnant women are being exposed to gender-based violence. And it has many impacts for women who are pregnant, you know. All right, so I can move from there. I have 5 minutes to present my years of study. So I did a multi-phase study that I look at pregnant women and midwives, but my focus today is the pregnant women. And these are some of the many interventions that I have done. And one of them was for me to get training, because at that time when I started, there was no focus or perspective on healthcare. All right, so I've done many workshops. A social worker was a part of my workshop, Miss Paula Henry, and I've disseminated information. I do annual public lectures. I've done publications, etc. And out of my study, what I've done is to implement screening. So midwives are now screening for gender-based violence in 2 hospitals, UWI and university hospitals. And I just want to share some of my findings. My finding is showing that at least 30%, 36% of women who are pregnant reported abuse or being abused. And there's a lifetime abuse of 79%. So even during this pregnancy and before, yes, and they're facing multiple types of pregnancy, abuse, physical, emotional, sexual, financial, and the physical. There are many types of physical abuse: gun butt, box, kick, etc. All right, so who are the persons more vulnerable? Those who are young, single, stopped at primary education, they worked outside the home, women who in multiple relationships, multiple children with multiple partners, those who are with unplanned pregnancy, and those with poor social support, and of course, women with a history of abuse. So the health-seeking behavior that I want to focus on is that a lot of the women, you know, they would turn to their pastors. One turned to the medical social worker and one to a midwife, all right? And this is how they cope. Sometimes they turn their family. Sometimes they blame themselves. Some will seek legal redress, and they turn back to get family support and believe that if they're empowered educationally, they can get out of it. And of course, faith, again, if they pray, they were advised to pray to overcome. All right, so my studies support that the prevalence is high. You know, think about it. If 36% of us here have COVID, nobody would want to be inside this room. So it is something for us to be alarmed about. it does not fit any stereotype. We do not know who is exposed. So we have to be intentionally to ask if persons are being exposed. And there are ways of doing it. And this is how the training comes in. It's a priority, the priority for those who are pregnant though. So, you know, although we think that, oh, get out of the relationship, the women, they just want to have baby and then they will think about it again. So it's very important that when we are in the community, whether it's the social worker or the midwife, we have to think about these things when we interface with these women. All right, so one of my recommendations and what I would want to see, I would personally want to do a father's clinic, because we don't want to leave anybody behind. We need to hear from our men what is happening to them, why are they so frustrated, etc. And very importantly for us as midwives to zero in on respectful maternity care. So we can be champions to say that their spouse is not to beat upon them, and then when they come into our institution, then we beat upon them. All right. And, you know, the home study was done by World Bank, and the home, it was said to be the most dangerous place. During COVID, we know that a lot of persons were working from home, but we don't have any, I personally don't have any specific data as to what happened to our pregnant women if they were more subjected to violence against women. However, when I speak to my counterparts in the on the ground, they told me they put strategies in place because, you know, the World WHO and UNFPA called on healthcare workers to intervene. So they said that they put strategies in place. They didn't see any decline in the number of women seeking care. They altered their appointment, and some of them went in and visited the home. All right, so the nurses and the midwives, they did their part during COVID. And of course, whenever they interact with women, so even if the women don't reveal that they were exposed, they are being exposed, because sometimes it takes up to 35 times in asking someone, but they would empower them to say, give them information. This is in case you're exposed, this is how you can overcome. And I do not know what happened there, but I would just want to say that 1 in 3, it is massive, it is a problem. And, you know, as we rebuild coming out of COVID, let us do it for our pregnant mothers, their families, our fellow healthcare workers. Save our men, save our boys, save our children, women, save the next generation. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Dr. Peter. Some interesting things coming from our presentations here. And you see, we always have to ensure we have our allied helping professions because we all work together. So bringing information about gender-based violence and pregnant women is an important thing. I learned so much just from the short presentation about what's happening to our pregnant women in Jamaica. So thank you for that one. And I'm sure there might be questions for you. So I'm going to ask, and I Ms. Natalie Stennett to come and speak to us, and she will tell you who she is, from the Jamaica Council for Persons with Disabilities.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Natalia Stennett. I am a student here at UE. I am currently trying to earn my bachelor's in social work. I am at practicum at the Jamaica Council for Persons with Disabilities, and I'll be leading the presentation on the services that they offer. Now, thanks, Brianna. Can you go on the third slide, please? All right, so the Jamaica Council for Persons with Disabilities is a department with the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, focused on ensuring the welfare of persons with disabilities, and we call those PWDs, persons with disabilities, through vocational rehabilitation. So that's one thing that we really try to push, help these persons with disabilities to be independent, right? Because we want everybody to be working, to be saying, all right, these persons with disabilities, they don't want to depend on people, they want to be independent, so we push that. We also have training workshops established with the KSA in Portland, Hanover, Clarendon, to enable rehabilitation of persons with disabilities through the development of skills. With a lot of the persons that we have in the council, the registered persons, most of them, they weren't born with these, some of them weren't born with these disabilities, right? So you have persons, for example, who either met in an accident or over time they developed a disability. So in order to help them to engage in society, we help them to learn new skills. So persons are sewing, persons are driving, persons are doing a number of things. And we also provide grants for income generating projects and assistive devices. This is one of the #1 services that we offer. Now, the mission of Jcpd is to promote the protection of the rights of persons with disabilities while facilitating their educational, social, and economic development through counseling, training, public education, and the provision of relevant services. Now, the Disabilities Awareness Week that we have, that's in the first week of December, we try to ensure that everybody in Jamaica are aware that this is something that is a part of our reality. A lot of persons that you see every day have a disability. And so we try to bring that awareness across the board to everybody that these persons are individuals who are normal citizens in our society. They need to be treated with respect. They need to be provided the same amount of opportunities that we, the able-bodied, are provided with. And so we have a lot of policies and legislations in place. Recently, just about a month ago, the Disabilities Act was finally passed. It came into effect. And with that act, what we're starting to do is to ensure that these persons with disabilities know that they have a voice, because that's what we're doing in social work, giving people a voice, advocating for them. And so for persons with disabilities, now they feel as if, okay, we are seen. Persons see us, they hear us, and we can do something to help persons in our environment, to help ourselves. Now with the act, not only are these persons represented, but they are also provided with greater opportunities. For example, we have under transportation, the right to transportation, we have a number of things under the act that say, all right, you have to ensure that person with disabilities can use your vehicle. So for example, with the JUTC buses, the government announced that a number of buses will be coming on that persons with wheelchairs can use. We're also saying that they need access. And for the past 2 months, we've been going around the island, ensuring that persons see that wherever, whatever business you have, persons with disabilities can use them. So in the markets, are the sideways clear? Can persons with canes, can wheelchairs pass through? So that's what we're focusing on. Brenda, slide 10, please. So we'll go through the general services. Firstly, the provision of educational opportunities, tertiary level scholarships, etc. We also have the grants that I spoke of. We have the economic empowerment grants, the school fees, scholarships, assistive aid grants, emergency grants, funeral grants, etc. Now, in light of COVID, we realize that a lot of the persons in our database, a lot of our clients are children. And with these children, because of their socioeconomic background, they don't have access to that monetary fund to purchase tablets or other devices. And so what we did was we partnered with a number of NGOs to sponsor these children with tablets. And we also partnered with some telecommunication, telecommunication services. So we know we have 2 main heads in Jamaica, and we partnered with them to give these children credit and data, but that didn't last long. They said that they can only provide a couple months. And so what we had to do was go even a step forward. You know, in social work, you always have to do more. And so we went ahead, we spoke with the schools, and we partnered with the schools to provide more data to come out, and if they can, print the materials to carry to these children with disabilities. Because a number of them, they are either intellectually disabled or they have some sort of developmental disability. And so they couldn't come out to actually attend these classes if they were saying, all right, you can come out, 10 persons come out. So they would need that special aid. We also realized that a lot of persons had issues with food packages. Because of COVID, not a lot of persons were earning money. And so even with our older generation, they couldn't go out and earn money. And so we had to carry in some food packages for them. And what we had to do was partner with different persons across the board, partner with Grace, partner with Lasco, ask them, what can you provide? What can you give to these persons with disabilities so that they can actually survive through this pandemic? And we found out that a lot of persons, while we have information on the database, it wasn't what was real. So the phone numbers on the files weren't the phone numbers that persons were using. And so we had to go out during the pandemic to try and get this sort of information. So right across the board, Jcpd is here to help persons with disabilities, anything that we can do, young, old, middle. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's always so great to see our students participating and representing so ably your supervisor. I'll have to tell Mrs. Bennett that you did very well. Oh, hi. I didn't realize she was here. Very good job. You can tell that she knows about the agency. And you know, it's a very important area that gets overlooked many times. And I can say it happens to all of us. Things like ensuring that the space is wheelchair accessible. I'm glad you're going out and doing those type of things. And remembering intellectual disability as well, as Natalia just mentioned. So thank you so much. I know I need to mention that there are other schools online apart from UE. We want to big them up. I want to say hi. So I know Danet is online. If persons can say a shout out to which school, please put that in so that as the program continues, because we know, we acknowledge that social work is one profession. If you're from overseas, US, wherever, just say where you are and we'll give you a shout out. So we're coming down to the last presentation, and to a gentleman, wonderfully closing with a gentleman, and we're going to invite Mr. Thompson. He's a social worker at heart with a passion to see the well-being and quality of life of others improved. He's the current director of Children and Family Programs. I almost said Children and Family Services, but anyway, at the Child Protection and Family Services Agency, a post he has held since January 2022. Prior to this, he served as the Deputy Registrar at the Office of the Children's Registry and later the CPFSA's National Children's Registry, following the merger of the OCR and the Child Development Agency, a lot of acronyms here, in 2017. Warren Thompson holds a BSc in social work with a postgraduate training in gender and development studies. He's an adjunct lecturer in the MSc program at the UWI Institute for Gender and Development Studies and an adjunct research supervisor in the Master of Social Work program at UWI Mona. Warren has researched and published in the fields of gender studies, social work, and community development. He's married to one wife and has 2 sons. Welcome, Warren.
No, I don't have 2 wives. I was told that I wouldn't be able to manage. Good morning, everyone. To begin, or before I begin the presentation, you can bring it up. I want to commend the Mona unit and the Social Work Research and Training Center for your event today. And I want to plug 2 things. One is, as has been said before, as social workers, we really acknowledge our responsibility to create a world that is fit and suited for the coming generations. And everybody's talking about Ubuntu. I am because we are, which is a very fitting, I would say, encapsulation of all the themes over the years. And for those who don't know, I don't know if you have submitted anything, Sandra or Sarita. Today is the deadline for submissions for book chapters for a book that the International Federation of Social Workers is doing on Ubuntu social work. Oh, you didn't know? Oh, well, maybe I can try and submit something before. I sent mine in last night. I submitted something last night because, although it wasn't said, my own research with women who lead community organizations in Jamaica. So I hope to join Cynthia soon. My own research brought me to a principle that I call the ethic of responsibility to help others. And the book chapter, or if they accept it, speaks about that as an embodiment of the Ubuntu principle. And I think it is also very fitting with our own values as social workers. And I offer it as an alternative reading or more detailed understanding of the feminist ethic of care, because that's the background I'm coming from. All right, is there trouble bringing up my presentation? It's not working. I'm not sure why it wouldn't be working. Or what isn't working? The PowerPoint? Or you pull it up in Google Drive? You downloaded it and it is not playing. I'm not sure why mine is giving trouble. All right, but so I'll speak. I don't know, maybe it's because I had two nice videos in it and so on for you to watch. Okay, there we go. All right, thank you. Next slide, please. All right, so I want to begin by telling you about the CPFSA for those who don't know. I'm not sure if you're able to hear. Is the sound on? I don't know why I complicated it.
And Family
There we
Services
go.
Agency, CPFSA. We receive and investigate every report, extracting the facts, authenticating reports, and collaborating with multiple agencies to help guide the decision-making process to provide holistic care for every child at risk. In instances where the death of a child occurs, to provide first-hand counseling to children and immediate family members who were directly affected. They are then referred to the Victim Services Division for follow-on counseling and support. We strengthen the legal framework. Through court services, our team provides the court with accurate social inquiry reports. We deliver tailored interventions for each unique situation and make recommendations to the court that is in the best interest of every child. We also provide legal representation for wards of the state who are in conflict with the law. We ensure proper placement. Our team works to ensure that each placement is necessary, suitable, and in the best interest of the child. This in keeping with the UN guidelines, which speak to the necessity and suitability principles. We monitor. Our monitoring officers are in place to ensure that residential childcare facilities adhere to guidelines set out in the standards of care and do follow-up visits. They also make recommendations for immediate solution-based actions if needed. They are there to conduct investigations into any critical incident that occurs. We provide counseling. Our aim is to secure the well-being of every child and to ensure that they have a healthy and loving support unit. Through our counseling services, children and families experience transformational change that helps each child and adult live their best lives. We are the Child Protection and Family Services Agency, CPFSA, a government institution mandated by the Child Care and Protection Act and guided by the Hague Convention on the Rights of a Child. We safeguard the welfare of children who are in need of care and protection. For more information, visit our website at childprotection.gov.jm. Call 876-948-6678 or 948-284-122. Report child abuse to the National Children's Registry, NCR, 888-PROTECT, 776-8328. CPFSA, protecting the right of every child and safeguarding a future we can all be proud of. Protecting children is what we do.
All right. So you see, at the CPFSA, we do a whole lot of things. And we are looking at staffing of anywhere around 600 persons. And we, in responding to COVID-19, or in providing a response, we have to think about staff, service users, as well as the children who are directly in our care. So we, in pivoting, since that's the new word, the buzzword, we focused on 4 things: accessibility, to ensure that there was business continuity and that we were reachable for clients and service users. We focused on the quality of services. We wanted to be responsive. We wanted to continue providing value-added services and ensure that our performance was measurable and that we were achieving regardless of the pandemic. We focused on disaster management, and I'll talk some more about that, and the provision of mental health services, not only to children, but also to staff, in recognition of the fact that COVID-19 caused some particular vulnerabilities, especially regarding mental health. And in focusing on these 4 priorities, we had some enablers that are articulated in our 2017 to 2023 strategic, strategic plan, corporate strategic plan, right? 1 was a technology-enabled organization. 2, skilled and competent employees, and a governance and accountability framework that would ensure that regardless of the pandemic, we're still providing value-added services and we would not experience any significant setbacks in delivering those services. Next slide. So as an example of accessibility, I'll use the NCR experience. Now, you'd have seen in the video where we talked about reporting child abuse by calling 888-PROTECT and so on. Because of the work from home mandates and our own efforts to limit the number of persons in office and control the spread of the pandemic, we had to do a number of things. And one of the things that we did was to take our call center operations virtually. So we were able to put in place a system where officers could work from home, and when someone calls 888-PROTECT, for example, they could pick up those calls from home. They could pick up those calls from home as if they were picking it up in office. So every employee or in the registry would have been assigned, for example, a laptop. And this diagram is just explaining how it works. So the call would go to the cloud, and it could go in office to a router, to an extension, or it could go on what we call the soft phone. So the officers would have their laptops, they would work their normal shifts, and they would pick up the calls at home. The other thing too is that we, as I said, a technology-enabled work environment. When that call is picked up from home, then the information is entered on a system. And we're actually in the process of migrating to our case management system in full, because some officers are using it already. But our system, the old system was still an online system where persons could connect through the virtual private network to the office, put up the information, and there was therefore no delay in getting children the assistance that they would need. Wouldn't have to do the work at home and then wait until they get to office to do some work in office for them to get assistance, right? So this is one activity that we did to ensure that we were accessible to all the clients and reporters. Next slide. Other activities, okay, sorry. Let me, yeah, before I play it, let me just, I'm going to promote myself a little bit here. Because I should tell you that in being accessible, one of the things that we did during the pandemic is we changed from the 888 Protect to 211. Now, 211 is easier for children to remember, and we wanted to ensure that children could call and get in touch with us. The 888 Protect was free to persons who were calling on Flow. But what we did was talk with the service providers to ensure that every single person calling could get through regardless of whether they're calling from Flow or Digicel or any other provider. So once you dial 211, the call would go through, whether they had credit or not. Now, I say it's toll free, but what we did as an agency was to absorb the cost for those calls. So it's not really toll free. We have to pay for the calls. It's just that we take charges rather than the clients. So we pushed the 211 line, and this is one of the promotional videos that we did. So let me promote myself, please. You can play. Yeah. 211 is a simple toll-free number. It's easy to remember, and it's free to all callers, whether you're calling from Digicel or from Flow. It is operated on a 24-hour basis, so there is no excuse for not reporting challenges. When a report is made to 211, our officers are well trained to ask some key questions to determine exactly what is happening to the child. When a report is recorded, it is marked in a case identification number, and the officer does an assessment to determine what is happening to the child, 2, the level of urgency, and 3, what entity is best suited to investigate the matter. Our investigating partners include our own internal investigations unit at the CPFSA, the Office of the Children's Advocate, and a number of units within the Jamaica Consolidated Force. At the CPFSA, the cases are assigned to our investigators within 24 hours. They will then go out into the field to do an assessment to verify whether the allegations in the report are true and what actions are needed to respond to the child who is in need of care. It is confidential. You can be guaranteed that every call that comes into 211 is treated as secret and confidential. All right, thank you. I'm available to host events and so on if you need my services. Right, so one of the things I forgot to mention, and it came out in the video, is prior to the pandemic, we were available 16 hours per day and 8 hours on weekends. What we did last year was we brought this service to a full 24-hour operation. So, thank you. So that any child, well, anybody, but we were particularly concerned about children who were at home, and home is a very hostile environment, as Cynthia said, who were at home and were being victimized, or being abused, and could not report it. And we're mindful that the people who normally see children, so the guidance counselors, the teachers, the people at church and so on, who would see children and make those reports, were not able to do so. So we wanted children to report for themselves. Next slide, please. Other accessibility steps included the publication of the cell numbers for all parish offices, designation of duty officers and first responders, increasing our social media engagement, including WhatsApp. So prior to the pandemic, we always had a WhatsApp number, but we started to push it very, very hard during the pandemic because we wanted children especially to reach out to us. So if they couldn't call, they could send a WhatsApp message and we would engage with them that way. So we really pushed the WhatsApp number, which is 878-2882 for anybody who is interested. And one of the other things that we did, we had what we call a callback request form, which is a simple Google form, which we put on our website and social media pages. So anybody who wanted to get in touch with an officer, this was before 211. Anybody who wanted to get in touch with us could put the information and then we'll call them back. But since we launched 211 last year, it has eliminated the need for that. In terms of quality services, we worked hard to maintain the service standards, and we facilitated client engagement using the technology. So we started to have Zoom therapy sessions, or clinical psychologists engage with clients that way. We did training and had officers engaging in telecounseling. We had our online events, so events that we usually have face-to-face, like our, what do you call it, Children's Summit and Exiting Care conferences and so on. We put all those things online. We were very mindful that children who were in facilities and not going out, you know, had some particular vulnerabilities. So we had to think about how do we engage with them to let them not feel as if they're just forgotten in institutions during the pandemic. So we had, you know, regional concerts, regional events, regional sessions online. And then, of course, in facilities, they will do their own activities. We stressed continuing professional development. So we had officers who were doing online courses on things like planning and delivering online courses. We had our field services conference online. And what we had to do was, so rather than everybody coming into one location, we had them meet in the regional locations, and then we do a Zoom thing similar to what we're doing now. We had sessions for clients or service users, like our runaway prevention webinar for parents as a part of the Ananda Alert program, webinars for foster parents and adoptive parents. And we really pushed among our own staff the use of our online case management system, which meant that staff could be working from home, because since it's a web-based system, we don't have to be in office to access it. They could stay from home and upload their case notes, create their cases and so on. And we provided training in trauma-informed care for key practitioners. And we ensured that every officer had a device. So not just your computer in office, but your laptops, so that you could actually work from home during the pandemic. And our investigators would have been given tablets, iPads, yes, but I prefer to say tablets. We were given iPads to take out in the field, so that while they're doing their investigation, they can make their notes, they can upload the information onto the case management system. And then we had to explore alternative educational options for children who are in care. So one of the things that we also did was enter into, or we contracted EduFocal to provide services for the children in facilities. Every single child in a facility was given a device so that they could access online schooling. It's really per money spent. So they can access the online schooling or the EduFocal offerings. Next slide, please. For disaster management, we developed guidelines for the residential child protection sector specific to COVID-19. So for example, we reduced the number of children who were taken into care. We tried very hard to find family-based placement. And where a child had to be taken into care, they had to be quarantined before they were put into the general population. And this was very, very hard for facilities because, you know, restrictions on spacing and so on. We limited family visits. We had to put special measures in place for family visits to be done. We cut off, you know, people like to come to facilities to talk with the children and give back and so on. We cut that off totally as a means of limiting that kind of contact that could spread the virus. So we accepted the contributions, but, you know, going into the facilities to engage with the children and so on, that was limited. Our disaster committee was activated and at the start of the pandemic, and since the start in March 2020, that committee has met every single week to discuss COVID-19 cases in facilities among staff and so on, and to develop response activities. Provision of personal protective equipment that was given. So all our investigators, for example, would have been given their face shields and their gloves and overalls officers in facilities were given those kind of things as well. I think for officers in our offices, they were just given masks, right, Angela, just given masks, and some were given face shields. And of course, we had the public sector work from home and flexi work arrangements in train. Next slide. So for mental health, we were very mindful of the mental health vulnerabilities created by the pandemic. So for staff, we facilitated the COVID-19 testing, and we provided support to staff who had to be isolated or quarantined. So for example, there were some staff who perhaps lived alone who had to quarantine, and we had to ensure that they got grocery items and those kind of things because they couldn't go out or they didn't have the family support network to go out and get groceries and so on. We promoted mindfulness practices and coping strategies mainly delivered by our psychological services unit to help our staff cope with the pandemic. And we created opportunities for staff engagement and welfare. So our regular annual staff welfare activities like the fun day and the beach trip and so on, we scale those down, but we ensure that they happen. So in each office or in each facility, we give them funds to plan their own activities and so on, rather than plan a big thing for everybody to come together. So rather than have a Christmas party, a big Christmas party for all the staff, each office planned their own Christmas event, and we gave an allotment per staff. For clients, we increased the psychotherapeutic support. I cannot even, up to today, I cannot tell you. I mean, I can, but I won't tell you because there's a whole heap of money that we spend on just outsourcing psychotherapeutic services. So, of course, we have our regional psychologists in the institute, in the organization, and we have our mobile mental health unit, which is a bus that travels from facility to facility to have sessions with the youngsters. But in addition to that, we have to refer some clients and pay for the services by psychiatrists and other clinical psychologists, and I can name some of them who we do business with. Dr. Kyle Morgan, for example, does a lot of work with us. So we actually spend a whole lot of money just outsourcing psychotherapeutic interventions for clients. And as I mentioned, the various events in facilities, and we have standby support for wards in non-residential placements. So we have children who are in foster care placements and so on. We ensure that we are on standby to support them and ensure that where they need the services, they receive them as well. My concluding thoughts: the pandemic created an opportunity for us to explore non-traditional modes of working, to leverage even more the available technologies and increase our ICT systems within the agency. And it allowed for us to consider the provision of value-added services to clients when face-to-face was not an option. Practitioners experience an increase in the number of opportunities to participate in training programs and to connect with practitioners in other jurisdictions. Because, because everything is online, a lot of conferences and webinars and so on that would otherwise have been held in person or face-to-face were now online. So we had we had staff who could attend webinars in England or in some other jurisdiction. At CPFSA, we also, so this is so much an opportunity, but we have also observed an increase in the number of cross-jurisdictional matters. We see a whole lot of children from overseas who are in Jamaica. They're attending school overseas online, but they're actually not Jamaican children. We have seen cases where social workers in other jurisdictions will say they have children who are, or they have clients who are in Jamaica, and they need for us to do some kind of support, whether it's a monitoring visit or a home visit, or facilitate their counseling sessions or something like that. And I'm sure Jackie would have seen people writing to JASO as well about how they go about getting cross-jurisdictional accreditation, in a sense, to practice with clients who are in Jamaica. And we have seen, of course, we have the Hague Convention on International Child Abductions, We have seen cases where, for example, a child was sent to a parent in Jamaica, but the child is not habitually resident in Jamaica, but the Jamaican parent decides, or the parent in Jamaica decides not to send that child back home. And we have had to intervene in those kinds of situations. But the pandemic created new issues. So I mentioned the increased vulnerability to mental health issues, increased vulnerability to cyber abuse, right? So we have had to be treating with this because many children experience cyberbullying. We have seen among our clients an increased addiction to pornography. And that's for clients both in and out of facilities. And we have now, well, our psychological services unit is trying to figure out ways to treat with that. And of course, we saw a reduction in the number of reports that were coming to us, which is why we had to be strategic in trying to find the ways to ensure that we were accessible to children. Okay, I'm done now. All right, I didn't realize you indicated to me. All right, so thank you very much for listening.
Thank you so much, Warren. Mr. Thompson, soon to be doctor. We had some lovely presentations today. We're supposed to have a panel discussion, but because of time, we won't be allowed to have the sort of questioning. But I'm going to allow at least even one person. If you have a burning question or comment, I'm going to allow you to ask it or make that comment quickly, because you'll have the opportunity with some of these agencies to actually speak to them in the Speed Social Work section. So any burning question or comment? Okay, I think you're saving it. I don't know if there's any online done it. I haven't seen you send any to me just yet. But I want to say thank you so much for the lovely presentations. Warren, just to give a quick comment on your thing, it just points out to us how social work has evolved, is evolving, can evolve even further. I mean, I know CPFSA is not the only one who's doing some of these important work, but it's a great example as one of the largest social service agencies in Jamaica, if not the largest, I'm not sure. Maybe Ministry of Labor, you might be competing a little bit, you know. But the point is that, you know, just seeing the sort of, you know, steps you've taken, even though you're already online, but to ensure that you're not leaving the children and the families behind. I think it's a good point to end on, because the type of services during the pandemic that we've had to take on, and we here at the center are actually doing some research in that area, how social workers are using the ICT and how, because of the pandemic, social workers have evolved, because there used to be this saying that we're backward, and we don't know how to maybe turn on devices, and we don't know certain things, and especially certain helping professions, you know, we're slow to change. And so we've seen a lot of that during this pandemic, so that we don't leave the disabled, we don't leave our children, we don't leave the elderly and the people with dementia, because it's not just the elderly. All the different areas, we're not leaving any of our clients behind. Gender-based violence, persons, pregnant women, all of these different clientele that we serve, and many others. So I want to thank you for participating in this session. We had hoped that we would have been able to take some questions and some comments. I'm not seeing anything coming up, but we will definitely continue the conversations. Thank you so much. And I'll hand back to Ms. Emmanuel, who will give us more instructions.
Thank you all so much. Each presenter, I learned something. My eyes are open. It's just wonderful. And I hope that, you know, persons out there are recognizing we need to push forward, right? And I just want to thank you. Thank those who are online. I want to make mention of Montego Bay Community College, that's online. Jamaica Theological Seminary, that is also online. We invited all the schools that offer social work training. We need more people on board. And as we said, the allied professionals, the allied associations who are working, we thank you. Now, today is a very full day of activities. And so We are now about to get into our next segment, which is building community through yoga with Afire Yoga Studios. Awesome stuff. And just so we are talking about being flexible and adaptable, we are now going to do a sit-down session. All right, so the day is going to run back to back. By the time we reach around 2:30, because we're running late, so around 2 o'clock, we'll begin the speed social work. So you can come online. So the question that you had for the presenters are here, as well as those persons who will be online. So we'll move back that session half an hour. But stay online, stay here with us. All right. So I'm going to do a little housekeeping. And for those who are here, you know, we have refreshments because we can pop down and pop down to the back. But for the yoga session, it was intended that we should have been on a, you know, slightly empty stomach to go through. But you can refresh yourself if you want. But Sanita Abrams is here. No. Sanita Abrams is here. I got to plug some of our SWTRC programs because when Warren was speaking and he talked about the case management, we have a case management course ready to go. Here we have Sanita Abrams who's showing you one of the alternative therapies and techniques that we have to deal with the persons as they go through. A mental issue is a big one. And we have a course now running, mental health first responders. I saw the word in our Warren Prince came and said, wait, we need to come join us here working on that. There's so much, and then it's about co-building and networking so much, but I won't take any more of Sanita's time. I will most definitely, would you like me to put the microphone in front of you while you go through your session? Sarah, okay.
I just want to. Right, hi everyone. So we're actually going to stand, but before we start, you know, there are no coincidences in life. And my journey started when I was in my early 20s as a young mother, living abroad, very stressed out, had a horrible car accident, almost died, and decided to change my life around. And that's when yoga came into my life. That's one. Two, I went back to university. And in fact, it was the first week when I was at university that I had this car accident. And I wanted to be a social worker. I was living abroad, but I always knew I was coming back home to Jamaica. Anyway, fast forward to coming back to Jamaica in the early 80s. Went to church one morning and Father Richard Holong said, you middle-class Jamaicans can't sit on your veranda and chat about what's going on in the country without helping. So I started going into REMA with him. And then I started counseling in the gun court, where I already had the state of emergency. And you all are much too young to remember them days, but you are. Okay, so when I started working in the gun court, what I understood was that there was God in every single person. And even those men who would tell me about what they had done to their spouses, one of them especially. So I'm going to take a few minutes before I do yoga, right? Because I think it's important. Many of you might be wondering at times, boy, this is a tough career I've chosen, right? Or the money not enough. But let me tell you, I remember that man, he killed his wife. He was so sorry and he turned his life around while he was in prison. And he told me about how he had been tied to a tree and beaten by his father as a child. So the point is, the work that we do, right, is God's work. And so I have just retired as the executive director of RISE Life Management Services. RISE is an acronym for Reaching Individuals Through Skills and Education. And we started off as the Addiction Alert Organization. In 1990, I opened the very first outpatient drug treatment program on the island, right in Ligani. And so I want to say my life has been dedicated to serving people. The RISE office is in Parade Gardens. And so our constituents are really inner city vulnerable communities. And I would not have changed that for the world. So fast forward to today now. I was also blessed to have been able to have a yoga studio in Ligani, which was built by my daughter and her husband who live in Kenya, in Africa. And that's the other side of my life. So I would come from Rise downtown and I would go into my little oasis. I'm a yoga and Pilates teacher. And that's what provided me with a balance in my life. So what I wanted to talk about a little bit before we actually do some chair yoga is the importance of putting balance into your life. And you cannot be healthy if you don't exercise. You cannot be healthy if you don't eat properly. You cannot be healthy if you don't take time for yourself, to ground yourself and to focus on good health. And so for me, what that means is because I've been a superwoman all my life. I've run several businesses, mothered my 2 children from them little bit, put them through university. By the way, miracles. Don't ever think that you cannot be prosperous because you are a social worker, right? I prayed about moving forward in my career. And I remember one day, I'm digressing a little, Dr. Wendell Abel came into my office when we were in year 2 of Addiction Alert and put an application on my desk and said, fill it out. And it was for a Fulbright fellowship. And I said, no, man, I can't qualify for this. Anyway, I ended up spending 2 years at Johns Hopkins University without a dime coming out of my pocket, right? So I have my degree in health sciences, but so those 2 years in the School of Public Health, when I came back to Jamaica, that's when we changed from Addiction Alert to Rise and started working primary and secondary prevention, because it takes so much more resources if you don't start until you're at tertiary. So finding the drug addicts and putting them into a treatment program was not where it was at for us anymore. So we now start with the children when they're young, work with them to keep them away from a life of crime and substance abuse, etc. Okay, so I start my day with prayer, with meditation, with breath work. And I'm going to teach you a couple breathing exercises. I'll have to put this down because especially with COVID. So I have very healthy lungs. I'm a senior citizen, long time senior citizen, okay? I celebrated my 70th birthday last year. But one of the reasons why I don't fear anything, but I didn't fear getting COVID, not because I didn't think I couldn't get it, but because I know I have very strong lungs and I'm very healthy. And it's really important and it doesn't take a lot. So I'm going to show you some breathing exercises. Then we're going to do some gentle stretching because I know you're way behind, right? So we're going to cut down my session. So I'm going to put this back away. Or I don't know whether you can set it up close to me or if I need to come closer. Just close your eyes for a moment. Before you close your eyes, look down. So have the feet hip width apart. Just notice, I want you to come from your thinking center into your feeling center. So you might be saying, Lord, I must say I'm hungry. I don't know what this woman going to do, blah, blah, blah. Just drop into your heart center, your feeling body, and notice how your body is feeling right now. You might be a little stiff for having been sitting so long. So just gently, if you need to open your eyes to do this, you can. Just kind of sway side to side. And then come back to center and just gently sway front and back. And then just find your center. Now just pay attention a little bit to your posture. Spread the shoulder blades wide. And a lot of us Jamaicans stick our belly out and stick our butt out. So just gently pull that in a little bit so the tailbone is reaching down towards the floor, right? Now, take your hand onto your belly. I want you to breathe deep into the belly, not into the top of the chest. A lot of us women breathe right up here. Drop the breath down. So just put your hand on your belly. And as you inhale, Expand. Imagine the belly is like a balloon. And as you exhale, you can exhale through your mouth. Release it. Again, inhale. Expand the belly. As you exhale, pull it back in. Do that 2 more times. Inhale. Exhale. Last one. Inhale. Exhale. Now just drop our hands down. Now, we're going to breathe, and we're going to breathe in for 4, hold for 2, and breathe out for about a count of 6. And as you breathe in, you start the breath in the belly. You draw the breath up, all the way up underneath the collarbones, and then slow exhalation all the way down. Let's see if we can breathe in and out through our nostrils instead of the mouth now. So close the mouth gently. Let's go. Breathe in. 2, 3, 4. Hold it. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Again, inhale, big breath. Fill up the belly, fill up the lungs, reach up. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Do that for 2 more rounds. So I tell people, if you're beginning to feel anxious, upset, something is going on, drop into the breath. You cannot be breathing deeply and remain in a state of anxiety. Okay? Gently open the eyes. We're going to do something called alternate nostril breathing. Alternate nostril breathing helps to balance both hemispheres of the brain and helps to relax the nervous system. So just hold on. I use a thumb and outer 2 fingers. It's called Vishnu Mudra, but it really doesn't matter because we're going to go slowly. Hold on the right nostril. Take a big breath in through the nose in the left nostril. From you're breathing into the belly. Hold at the top of the inhale for a moment. Release the right nostril. Slow exhalation through the right. Remember, in and out of the nose, not the mouth. Inhale. Hold it, both nostrils for a moment. Release the left nostril, exhale through the left. Continue with this. So you're breathing in probably for a count of 4. Pausing at the top of the inhale, don't matter which hand you use. And then exhale through the right for a count of 5 or for 6. So each time you exhale, you're lengthening the exhalation, right? Just do 1 more round, please. So what this does again, it balances both hemispheres of the brain and it relaxes the nervous system. It's a great breath to practice if you're feeling a little anxious or before you go to bed at night. Okay, last one. And normally I continue doing this in the morning until I'm exhaling for a count of 10. And then I release, then I do my meditation. And then after and you can do a 10-minute. Meditation doesn't have to be difficult. And I'll share a little secret. I use Deepak Chopra and Oprah Winfrey, one or both, 10 minutes in the morning. I've downloaded it on my phone. I have it on my app and I just listen to it. The one I'm doing now is a 21-day meditation on health, but he has many. So I end up with a library of about a dozen different 21 days and I just use it every day. So you don't have to be worrying about your mind wandering all over the place. All right, the last one, which I think is the most important breath of all, is called Kapalabhati, breath of fire. And that's because it's going to strengthen the lungs, right? And so it looks like this. So it's a forceful exhalation and a passive inhalation. Just put your hand onto your belly because it all happens here. It looks like this. So imagine you're forcefully blowing out a candle, right? The passive inhalation, you inhale, happens on its own. Let's go. 10, 11, 12, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Inhale. Load the arms up. Exhale and down. Now, I'm going to do one more like that, and it's called Bastrika. It's the same breath, but it works with the hands. So I don't know, you can see me, right? Yeah. So let me demonstrate first. You spread your fingers wide and it goes like this. So you're forcefully bringing your hands down. So what that does now is it engages the whole chest cavity. So you're strengthening your lungs, you're strengthening your chest cavity, especially for people that have had COVID and are still in recovery. But this is good for everybody. I practice it this every morning of life. Don't do it at night because it energizes you. It also boosts your immune system, energizes you, and strengthens your immune system. All right, so let's go. We're gonna do, let's say just 10. And we go 1, 7. Let's go to 20. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 7,
17, 18, 19, 20. Inhale. Reach up to the heavens. Exhale, release. Just close your eyes for a moment. And notice you're probably feeling a little heady. That's all the oxygen that's gone to the brain. Okay, it's an easy technique, right? So seeing that you're standing already, let's just do a couple little warm-ups right here. So this is one more breath. And this is, it's called breath of joy. Just a few of them. You have to make sure you're not going to hit the person beside you. Let me demonstrate first. The knees are soft. Again, you've been sitting for a long time, so this is really good. You breathe in front and side and up, and you go, ha. Now, some of you don't have to go all the way down, so make sure you're not going to hit the chair in front, right? Let me turn sideways. So it's a 3-part inhalation. Let me do it again slowly. It's front and side and up, and then you go, ha. Okay, you can go just halfway or you can go all the way down. Bend your knees. We're gonna do that about 4 times. All right? It's called the breath of joy. So we go inhale front and side and up, down, ha. Front, side, up, ha. Front, side, up, ha. Just give me 2 more. Front, side, up, and half. Last one. This one we're gonna stay down and stay down. Ha. Now, slowly, the arms are just swinging by the side. Pull the belly in, drop the head. The head is the last to come up. Roll up through the spine. Nice. And when you're all the way back up, I love these 2 in the front. Roll the shoulders up and down your back. Close your eyes again, just for a moment. Move the fingertips down towards the floor and just notice a slight difference in your body between now and when we stood up for the first time, right? Okay. All right, we can sit down or you can stand. But so I'm going to do a little bit of chair yoga right now. You know, we were scheduled to go over there, but I figured none of you was going to come and join me on the floor. So, because I was saying, I forgot my phone. Right. But so this is actually good because what this is going to show you is that you can practice yoga sitting right at your desk. I noticed that from I've been working at home, I sit a lot more and a lot longer than when I was at the office because I would be walking up and down. All right, so the important thing, so what I'm going to say is take a break every hour or every couple hours and do some yoga stretches, all right? So sit up nice and tall. Important thing is that the spine is tall. So I don't want you to be lounging back, even though these are good chairs to use. Your feet are flat on the floor. Your hands are just on your knees. Sit up tall. Take a breath. As you exhale, just drop the chin to the chest. Take another breath. As you exhale, bring the right ear over to the right shoulder. We're just working the neck a little bit. And just do little movements back and forth with the neck, just as if you're nodding yes. Nice and gentle. Nice and slow. Good. Chin back to chest. Inhale, exhaling over to the other side. And little micro movements back and forth, being gentle with the neck. Bring the chin back, bring the head back up. Good. You're going to take, and mirror you, take your left hand up, reach up, and just gently stretching the opposite side of the neck. So you're not yanking on the neck. You're just stretching it. Feel that stretch. You can even release the opposite arm or reach it down towards the floor. So you're just stretching the neck. Good. Inhale, back to center, other side. Lift up tall, up, and just gentle. No yanking, no pulling. Nice and gentle. Come back to center. Good. Let's work the shoulders. Lord, Mrs., don't crack your neck like that. And up and back 1. And circle 2. And circle 3. And circle 4. Reverse it. 1, 2, 3, and 4. The big breath, bring the shoulders up, scrunch and drop them with a sigh. Ha. Again, inhale. Exhale, let go anything you've been holding there. Inhale, exhale. Ha. Good. Let's do one more here for the shoulders. Bring your hands onto the tip of the shoulders. So we're really circling with your elbows. You're circling up and back 1. And circle 2. And circle 3. And circle 4. Reverse it. 1. I'm sorry for all of you that have to wear a mask all the time. And release it down. Folks, I know we have to wear a mask for safety, but let me tell you this. When you are in a space where you don't have to wear your mask, don't wear it. And I tell you why. You need to be able to breathe. So yes, I'm into protection. I'm a public health, right? And I don't go anywhere outside without my mask. But you see, once you have some space, my yoga studio is a semi-outdoor studio. It's big. And so once my students are on the yoga mat, they take off their mask because you have to be able to breathe. Okay, so we did shoulders, we did that. Let's do some circles of the torso. So we're gonna circle and we're synchronizing movement with breath. So we inhale as we circle towards the right knee, front, left knee, pull back. We do 2 circles in each direction. Breathing as you come forward, exhaling as you go back, and then reverse it. Inhale, big breath. And exhale, pull back. And 1 more. Good. And come back to center. That was not a proper circle. So, there is in Kundalini yoga. So in yoga, there are many different types. You have Amrit, you have Kundalini, you have Vinyasa, you have Iyengar. So in Kundalini yoga, they call this a Sufi grind. Now, it's the same thing, but it takes a little bit deeper. And seeing that your bellies are quite empty, I'll just demonstrate it. You can do this with an empty stomach. You're going to come forward again. And as you go back, you're going to pull in. Right, so you might want to come forward a little bit. So in other words, your circles are a little bit bigger and you're pulling the belly in as you go back. Let's go, inhale. Exhale, pull the belly in, that's why it's called. So you're really working those ab muscles too. And then you're just reversing it. Inhale, coming forward. Exhale, pull in the belly. And come forward and pull in, good. And come back to center. Now, guys, folks, I'm also a Pilates teacher. And let me tell you this. Many students come into our classes with them shoulders up to here and bad backs, right? As we get older, especially, if your ab muscles are not strong, your back muscles are not going to be strong, okay? So I've been a Pilates teacher for probably 15 years, and I'm the only one in my household who can lift up a 5-gallon water, including my husband and my housekeeper, right? Because I have strong abs and I have strong back muscles. And one of the things that Pilates and yoga teaches you is to strengthen your lower abs and to use that instead of your back. So for example, when I'm picking up the water, the 5-gallon, I bend my knees, right? I pull in my belly and I lift from the abs, not from the back. And so if you start a yoga or Pilates practice, you will learn how to strengthen your lower abs. You see, like when you go to the gym and you do 1, 2, 3 with your legs, that's not doing what you need to do because you're using the force of the legs and you're arching your back. It's really about learning how to do it properly. All right, so I did that. Okay, let's do a little joint work. Extend the arms, spread the fingers wide. Make a fist, spread, make a fist, spread, make a fist, spread, make a fist, and twiddle the fingers, and now just circle the wrist. So again, joint work, you know, you can do it sitting at your desk and then reverse it. It doesn't take long and it keeps the joints nice and supple. Good, shake it out. Right, the feet. So I'm going to take off my shoes then, but I have on my yoga socks. So I'll show you. Again, you can do this right at your desk. Just spread your toes wide and point them and spread them and point them and spread them and point them. Yeah, just imagine what you can drop off your shoes, nobody watching you. Spread and point and spread and point. And now twiddle the toes and then circle them and circle. So you really need to strengthen all your joints and then reverse the circle. So ankles, wrists, knees, you know, all the bones, and relax. Okay, let me do something for the hip. Again, just sit kind of at the edge of your mat, of your chair, sorry. Let's see if we can do it like this. I normally do this standing. So hold on to the back of the chair and just take the leg and circle it. And circle. Come on, don't be shy, come on. You're working your inner groin and you're working your outer thigh. And relax, yes. Come, support yourself. Let's do the other side. Circle 1 and circle 2 and circle 3 and circle 4, reverse it 1. You can do a little one, you know, 2 and 3 and 4. Good. Now, I'm going to do something else which is really important for the spine. I'm going to demonstrate it on my mat, but you can also, because if you're doing it at home, I would recommend that you do it on a mat, right? But as I do it on my mat, you can do it with me because you can do it this way, using the breath, right? Okay, so if the camera can see me here, but I'm going to turn this way. So hands and knees, spread the fingers wide. The wrists are right under the shoulders and the knees are under the hips. You just drop the belly as you look up, and as you exhale, you pull in. So those people that are at home, if you can see me, you can get down on the floor. You can do this on any kind of soft surface or put a cushion underneath your knees. This is called cat and cow. So you exhale as you pull in, you inhale as you look up. Okay, and you can do this maybe 4 or 5 rounds, and then you can circle. So as you circle, you're also just releasing anything you're holding in the hips. I was going to do a lot of stuff with you like this and this, but we won't do that again today. So let me show you how you would do that seated. And then I'm going to show you one thing with a strap. Let me turn this way. Right. So you would just go inhale. Imagine you're reaching your chin forward. So notice my back is nice and flat. And then you're going to pull the chin in, suck the belly in, and come back up. It's like a wave. Inhale, reach. Exhale, pull in, and then reverse it. So bring your chin to the chest. Imagine you're rolling a marble away with your nose and come up and exhale. And trust me, it'll feel really good in your body. Doesn't it? Yeah, man. As we get older, the spine begins to kind of fuse. So just do it in the chair. You don't have to do it. Right, do it once more with me. Reach forward. Exhale, pull it. And big breath as you reach forward. Exhale, pull it, and then reverse it. Bring your chin to your chest. Roll the marble away as you come back up. And it's just like a wave. And come back up. Okay, come back to seated. I just want to show you, we use props a lot in yoga. We use yoga blocks, we use cushions, we use straps. So you can always, so if you're at your desk and you don't have a lot of mobility, you can take a strap, a belt is fine, and work this way. So I can do this because I've been practicing for whatever, all my life, but you don't have to because there's no forcing. Yeah, good, you can do that too. But you can use a strap because it's nice to be able to reach forward, which we also do on the floor. It's nice to be able to reach to the side, okay, and hold a strap there and breathe. And see, if you're doing it this way, your spine is nice and tall, your both sits bones are on the floor, and your leg is out here. Now, if you don't have a strap, you can do it, but it's a little bit, it's clumsier, you see? So use your strap. No, I'm just gonna do it on the other leg to balance me out. So again, and this, you can do leg raises. So you can do leg raises, working your ab muscles, stretching the legs. A lot of us don't know how to straighten our knees, right? And then do it out to the side. I like to do this exercise with lying on the back, but you can do it seated in your chair, okay? You can even do your circles using a strap. I recommend that those of you with tight hamstrings, that you do it, put a little 10, 15-minute routine for yourself at home. Let me show you something. And then I promise I'll finish. Then you can't eat your lunch. So working with a strap, stretching, flexing the foot, right? Notice my leg can be nice and straight. My shoulders can be relaxed. I take it out to the side, all the way out. I take it across the body, stretching the whole outer side, stretching the hip, and then I can walk my hand up the strap, and then do the other side. It takes you 5 minutes. So those of you that say you don't have the time to go to a gym or to my studio, You can do a practice at home. It just requires discipline and discipline. And I promise you, you'll feel better. Unless you name my husband who don't like to exercise. So, guys, all right. So my studio is called Afya, and Afya is a Swahili word for health and harmony. And that's because, as I said, it was built by my daughter and husband who live in Kenya. And we're located right on Bamboo Avenue in Ligani by the US Embassy. We're online. It's afyajamaica.com. I do have some schedules if anybody's interested. We have classes every day. We also have classes online. As everybody else with COVID, we had to adapt. Fortunately, because we're an outdoor studio, we were able to keep our classes going, but just with limited numbers. We pre-register everybody. So thank you. Keep up the good work. And your profession is a wonderful one, and just keep enjoying helping people. You'd be surprised. I have children all over the world, and my children are mostly inner city children, right? And I love them dearly. They call me on Mother's Day, and that's my life's work, you know, and I hope it will be yours too. Namaste. We normally end with Namaste, which means the divine in me honors the divine in you. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Sonita. Oh, give her another round of applause, people. Some of us never moved like that before. But what a wonderful session it was. I saw smiling faces through the mask and laughing, and it's wonderful. So Afia, thank you, Sonita. Thank you, Afia, for joining with us. And the African word from the beginning, keep following us through. Awesome, awesome stuff. We'll be sure to be in contact with you. Tell your friends about Afia. All right. Afia. Afia. All right. And so namaste to everyone. We are going to take a break, a well-needed break. We have been here from 9 a.m. Opening ceremony, Dr. Severin, Dr. Orville Taylor. You know, we had Jaswell. Man, the social workers are here, CPFSC, UA Hospital. The Speed Social Work Village is going on. So you think we're just inside this room? No, they're out there. People are walking through, and you will soon get your opportunity to go online and ask your questions. Also to volunteer your time. Don't take it lightly. We need all the help we can get. Right. And so we're going to take a break from our online streaming. Please give us half an hour. I think it's now like 12:30, so 1 o'clock. We'll come on again. Where? Okay, you need to check Jaswell's page. They're having something tomorrow. Some record building and networking. Come on. All right, so let's just give Jaswell a plug here.
All right. One of the things Warren never shared is that he's responsible for licensure. So there is a conversation online tomorrow about licensure as social workers. And on Sunday, the 20th, at Richard's Coffee House, we're having a book signing. This is going to be Michelle Thompson, who is a medical social worker from Canada who has returned home to Jamaica for practice. And she has written a book, and we will be having a book signing, and you can come and purchase her book on Sunday. And we are also having some other things on Northern Caribbean University, as well as the zone in the St. Thomas chapter of Jaswa, who's part of Zone 2, will be also having a church service as well as an information booth. There's also something in St. Mary retreat in St. Mary. So Jaswa, as we said, COVID has made us revitalize the chapters, and things are happening for the whole month of March. Check our website, check our IG page, check our Facebook page. The flyers are there and the information is all there. All right, so thank you.
All right, so before we close off, I have to thank the UE Open Campus marketing team who has been online with us and providing live streaming services to our YouTube page. I'm going to thank our technical team, Karen McIntosh, Dwayne Fagan, Robert Tucker. You know, there's so many persons to thank, but I'm just plugging our IT staff right now as we come off of half an hour. So join us back online, and thank you so much for joining, and happy social work day. The fun done.